I respect that.
Yeah, just for branding shit.
We should set a We should set a timer for 10 minutes. We'll make a bit out of it.
Yeah, because.
All right, I'm ready.
Camera change.
Yep.
Let's go.
All right. I'm gonna
Cut it
run.
loose, Charles. Or whatever you want to do. We should play this. There's no changes.
That's a limit.
Lion face, lemon face.
Lion face, what is it?
Lion face, lemon face.
Face stretches?
Yeah.
I just started a new face stretch the other day. It was pretty good. You take your fist and punch it up like this, and then open your mouth as hard as you can. Open your eyes and everything, and push up hard.
Oh, yeah.
And then breathe through your nose and out your mouth. You're supposed to do that 6 times? I'm doing it in the fucking car. I'm like, sorry. I'm like a crazy person. But I got done. It felt pretty good.
And the fly's back.
Yeah.
Good job,
Fucking
man.
duck.
Good job, man.
Grab the chopsticks.
Speak on it. Grab chopsticks,
All right.
yes.
So it's us and a fly. We'll figure it out. It is what it is. Anyway, we'll figure it out. All right. I'll do the damn thing.
Fly. Yeah.
Hey, yo, what's going on, everybody? Joey C in the place to be. I got a big boom box and a new CD coming at you live from the GFY studios with the AO show. Authentic only. Here today with my main man doing damn things on the 1-2s. Shabaka Leak.
Hello.
Thank you for the brevity. What are you up to? You doing all kinds of good stuff? You had Goonburgers today.
I did have Goonburger today.
Taking pictures, all the things, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to take pictures. Steven let me borrow that Veronica S2A, big old medium format camera. So I've been trying
Big old
to.
medium?
Well,
Big old medium.
it's 4 times as big as 35 millimeters. So yeah,
Of course it is.
I mean the film itself.
Getting all metric on us now.
Yeah, so it's a big one. I've been trying to like hike with it, but I'm like carrying my camera backpack with my, my other camera, this one, and then have this giant like 20-pound camera around my neck. It's a good amount of weight.
A little bit of rucking with cameras. We'll look forward to the photos.
Yeah, well,
Right on.
I'll have Steven on and look at them, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of photos, a quick little update. We've done it a couple times already, but it has come to full fruition, or just fruition in general, I guess.
Sure.
Michael McLaren, who was on the podcast, you can see his episode a couple back. Tim Butterly reached out to him. Him and Michael worked together in San Francisco for a bit. Kind of lost touch, reconnected via the AO show. And Tim has a restaurant in Peru, which is not near New Jersey, you're saying? All right. South Jersey even?
I'm closer.
All right. It's somewhere where you got to fly and have a passport. So Tim bought Michael a ticket and flew him down there to Peru. And Michael sent me back some pictures. So we'll do a little slideshow over here. That's he knew what to take pictures of. That's the town oven. The oven is 200 years old. Whoa.
That's
and
cool
everybody
as
in the town, not everybody has
town.
gas and shit like that. So you bring it, as big ovens used to be, you come there and bake your stuff and come back and pick it up. Somebody sits there and mans the oven and cooks your stuff for you, and that's how it goes. But that's a beast of a machine right there, man.
Yeah.
I love that shit. But yeah, and apparently they're celebrating New Year's there, so he's sending me photos with just bunches of people in the street. What else you got on the... There's some guy making some kind of bird or something in the, I think that's a smaller oven, which was only 100 years old or something. So, yeah, these cats wearing, this guy's got a costume on. What is he wearing, What is that? Is that for the celebration? Is that just everyday wear in Peru? Where they at? Pisca is the name of the town, I believe, too?
Yeah, it's Pisco. It's close to Cusco, which is the capital.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Look at you. Geography, man. What else we got? More pictures from this guy? Yeah, cooking stuff in here. I want to eat that. I don't even know what it is. Hand pies? What do they call them there? Empanadas, maybe?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take 2-3 dozen of those
They look good.
in a 200-year-old oven, right?
That's amazing.
That's Tim's restaurant there.
Teos.
So these are doing good stuff.
Pisac.
Pisac, Cusco, Peru. All right, nice.
Timoteos.
There you are in front of a fancy church or some kind of fancy building. It's probably old. Shit ton of people out.
Cool.
There's Michael and Tim doing the damn thing. But yeah, New Year's celebration.
I think that's all I got.
Eating.
That's
and,
awesome.
Eating and everything like that. So yeah,
That's the best.
yeah, it's super cool. They got together. We're able to do that. And he's down there. And when he gets back, we'll do another podcast. He'll give us the update on Peru and all the fancy things he ate and saw. So God bless. Travel well. We'll talk to you when you get back, Michael. Beautiful. And today's guests, back for a third time and second time recently, Sasha and Lyrizone. Thanks for coming in, guys.
You
What
are
up?
welcome. What's going on?
You know, doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
What's going on
Yes,
with
sir.
you guys, you know? You guys wanted to talk about music. I think Joe, Lyrizone reached out about wanting to talk to you. We saw your podcast. Like, yeah, I want to talk to that guy. I was
Love
like, make it fucking happen. And we'll
Yeah.
sit in the room and chop it up.
Made the conversation happen. Let's do it.
Yeah, man, I'm glad I could help facilitate and get it out and get all the good information out. If you want, real quick, give a quick update of who you are and what you do.
What up, y'all? It's boy NuMetal, NuMetal, Vancouver, Washington. We guess theatrical NuMetal.
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, let's go
Whatever
for
you
it.
guys want, whatever you want to call it, it's a clusterfuck at this point. If you like it, call it what you want. If you don't, then I already know you don't like it. Anyway, whatever. So yeah, it's thankfully be back. We're gonna have a really good conversation about music. Sasha, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, man, my pleasure.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
And homie, thank you.
Yeah, you got it, man.
Yeah, we're gonna have a good ass time. So yeah,
Cool.
your turn.
Weird.
I was here just in April. So
Yeah, just-
yeah.
April, May, June, so almost it's a 3-ish months ago.
Yeah, quick return, yeah.
Thereabouts, and yeah, all sorts of stuff has been going on. Still working Fair.vu, still working on music stuff. We have currently
Oh, yeah.
run dry of our initial funding, but we got like a full 2 months of being able to just focus on that. So I'm still working, just I'm gainfully unemployed, but working full time.
Yeah,
is how that goes.
my friend.
That's all cool, and I've been traveling. I was in Miami less than 48 hours ago.
Nice.
And in St. Louis before that, and then in Los Angeles before that, and then in San Diego before that, and then like just kind of crazy and nuts. So I'm happy to be home. And then I leave for LA on Friday.
Dang.
Play music mostly, or go to see stuff, or
So interestingly enough, this is magic that I'm doing.
Oh,
Magic has taken me to LA. I was doing a show installation for an illusionist named Brad Ross.
Okay.
In St. Louis, who I've worked with for the last couple 2-3 years, and amazing guy, very good magician, good at what he does. He knows the art. He was Disney's magician for the Mickey Mouse Magic Show for their touring company,
Okay.
Wow.
and on their cruise ships, and he did that for like 12 years before kicking out on his own. So he's like a 13-year-old dude trapped in a 44-year-old body, and he's like this like super approachable boy next door Converse, and like super unassuming, and then like he just like pulls something out, your brain explodes everywhere, and you're like
Nice.
and he's like, magic, there it is. So we're going to I don't know if he's announced yet. Today is their last day in St. Louis, and so on Friday we're headed to Southern California, I think is what I can say, but we've not made the official announcement of where that's going to be yet.
Okay.
Watch
So-
that.
Cool.
Staying busy. I love it.
Yeah.
Doing the damn things. Let's jump right into it. Talking about music.
Yes, sir.
Lyrizone, you came in and we've touched on a couple times on the podcast before, just talking about AI in general.
Yeah.
But AI in music. Timbaland, the
Producer.
renowned producer.
One of the
He's
goats.
hit
That
maker,
was-
you know,
yeah.
he's been doing it for a long time. Makes an AI band called the Velvet Fuckaroos. Velvet.
Is that how they pronounce that?
I think they're
speak
separate.
English,
I
they're
don't
good.
remember them actually being Timbaland though. I think they were
Velvet Sundown.
pushed through somewhere else though. But yeah, as far as Timbaland,
it's
I
not
know
Timbaland?
I know Timbaland actually has his own production and he's actually pushing his own band for AI. Actually, in 10 minutes is up. Hello everyone.
Okay.
So yeah.
And we're back.
And we're back. Yeah, see, performing with this thing sucks. So yeah, getting a lavalier mic. But yeah, as far as the band itself, from my assumption for it, is that he has his own band. He's been pushing AI music for a while now, and it's been shot down numerous times because the the musicians don't want to be undervalued, undercut. And the issue is that for a producer, everyone feels he's at the top tier. So why is he essentially sweeping the leg of musicians and bands he works with?
Okay.
And for me, I speak from an artist perspective that I don't appreciate the fact that for a...
It's time to take your mask off.
Thank you, sir.
that was our 10-minute timer.
We were right on time.
We were going to do a big
late.
reveal with the hat off and everything, but now we're good.
So yeah, as far as this one, like when I checked them last, they were 300,000 on Spotify. Now they're getting almost $500,000.
Yeah, we just pulled it up. It was like
so. It's interesting.
That's monthly listeners.
Yes,
that's a shit ton.
Which, as far as Spotify monthly listeners, they constantly, like, from one month it goes to the next one. And I don't know if you heard about this. They're actually talking about getting rid of Spotify listeners, to where they won't have numbers anymore because they don't want to make it seem transparent. Where you listen to a band for the band itself. You don't look at the numbers. I think they're going to pull that away very shortly. The whole idea of taking numbers away because they got to see that there is a demand for this type of music. And I don't like it specifically because it's just in my realm. Okay. But I'm always open to the conversation of the reason why it's there. Like me personally, when I used Suno, I did it early for just building like template tracks or demos of where idealistic where I want to go.
And Suno
I never put my stuff in there. Suno
AI
is
music,
AI
right?
generated.
Oh, you showed me that a couple times. Right? Yeah.
But I've always stayed clear of not putting intellectual property on there. One, because once you drop it in for terms and conditions, it's there.
It's there, yeah, exactly.
Literally. Same thing with ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. I always use the stuff of kind of like a building block of creativity, but never of just the sand that builds the pyramid. So the way I look at it is that I don't know how long it's going to last because I'm kind of worried that one gets monopolized and companies use it because it's all in pocket, becomes the new label thing to where they pay for it. Mm-hmm. And they don't have to pay an artist now to show up and send them money to appear on an album. They can just generate themselves, keep the profit in-house. My issue is going to be the industry is already peaking on laziness. So what I think when folks are going to just use this just to put stuff out, the conversation is, okay, well, then why do I have to work so hard to create a 5-piece album or a 10-track album, drop thousands of dollars, when someone's going to create an album like that and they're going to do better and they're going to be seen first. So it kind of diminishes the return of you working twice as hard just not to be seen. And that's why I'm looking forward to, I think slowly but surely, Bandcamp's already making Bandcamp, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to be literally going side by side with Spotify and these other places because it's going to go to the power to the band. You guys sell merchandise there, stuff of that nature. So what's your opinion? What do you think?
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
So talk to me real quick about monthly listeners for Spotify, because I know that there are some artists, myself included on this actually, that I am for them eliminating that monthly listeners thing, because that is, there's so many promoters who look at that, and if you don't have a particular,
of course,
number, we're not going to be
your billing list and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To where I've always looked at it to where the numbers don't mean shit. I'm sorry, everyone that's thinking that it's big elaborate. I would rather have 10 fans that give a crap, that buy merchandise, that support whatever, than 100 passive listeners that don't really give a shit.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of where I think the needle lies. Get rid of the numbers and make things feel like more transparent and it's going back to AI itself. The transparency is the main thing we need at this time and age.
I agree.
We don't need to have a non-transparent way. You can't really tell what's going on with here at the system as far as the back end. Like, you're listening to the band to hear the band. You don't want to hear about the numbers. You don't want to hear about what they did last week. You want to hear the single that made you fall in love. So that's my perspective on it. I think we're going to have a very interesting few years because we've already had the new video generation for all like ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah.
We've had Charlie, what's the actual new one that just like is polished on everything? It's
VO3.
Yeah. So they already have. We've had numerous I think it was a movie was it Marvel that actually did AI generation for the latest intro? It was what, Samuel L. Jackson. It was like a little sideline story, but all the intro was AI made because they were going through the whole strike and stuff like that for SAG-AFTRA.
Oh, wow.
So they couldn't hire anyone, so they literally just did the intro being just AI generated.
Oh.
And then they got a big slack on that one because people were upset that why'd you not wait until the negotiations were done and then proceed? So,
and that was a big part of the contract negotiations was that studios were like, oh, we'll pay you a one-time fee and we'll scan your body and we can just use you
in your likeness.
In your likeness for perpetuity.
And they lost that.
Yep.
Yeah.
They did.
They did. Thankfully.
Yeah. That would've been
Thank you,
nightmare
Fran Drescher.
fast.
AI, man, it's we're out in uncharted waters and
Yeah.
uncharted territory with this, and I think you're right. I think it's going to be an interesting couple of years until we sort of figure it out. What I want to know is why the hell we are not working on AI that can do my taxes and clean my house and take care of all of the other stuff as opposed to take my job as an artist.
Well, if we're gonna go down that road, let's say how the pharmaceutical business hasn't been like very truthful in fixing the problems. They want to just keep you well enough to keep paying. So, far as like,
we're living in late stage capitalism.
Yeah.
And the capitalist model is unchecked growth and profits, and there's no end to that, and it just is. And if I saw this thing the other day that really called that out and brought it to light, and it's a really good point. When you have something that grows unchecked and doesn't stop in biology, we call that cancer, because there's and it kills whatever the host organism is, and that's bad news. So, I don't know. There's an interesting thing happening about AI and music. Suno, I know, is huge, and it's also a huge problem.
Yeah. Was different lawsuits. Shout out to Crystal. She actually brought me on for Time Music Attorney. She did a lot of the stuff when built the LLC documents, went through her whole course and building the music industry as far as my knowledge point on it. And there is constant shade underneath the contracts of your IP, intellectual property, and what you own. Because a lot of places, they want to use your likeness. They want to own it one time, and then you can't come back because they got twice the amount of lawyers than you do. So they got to find a way. And my major fear is that we have Sony Music, Universal, all these major corporate giants that I would fight to have my music pitched to. They will just go the cheaper route because they can, and who is going to stop them when they make that much capital? So
John Oliver just had a show last week that was talking about AI slop and all of those videos and the whole thing. If you've not seen it, go check it out because he's great. He does good work on that. And there was a thing in there, an interview that was from the CEO of Suno. What's his name?
You're on the realm.
Sunlin, yeah, Mikey. His first name is Mikey, but the CEO of Suno, and he was talking about the reason why we're doing this is because music is just so hard. It takes you have to learn an instrument, and then you have to write stuff and then put it out, and it's way too much work. And the interviewer was like, that's called being a musician, being an artist. And he's like, well, it's just way easier if I can just give it some stuff and then hit a button and do the thing. So the question is, what's the point? If that Mikey, if you're watching this, hit us up and explain a little bit more, because what the hell, dude?
Yeah.
Mikey Schulman.
Well, it always goes back to the theory that when you make things easier, it's like the generational gap of many different generations. When you build a easy generation of things come very quick and easy, then it builds the weak character. The weak character makes mistakes, and then the strong ones had to correct that character of how things weren't working. I think we're going to have a bunch of musicians, and I use that very loosely, that just put prompts in and don't really actually know the instruments, and then it's going to have a new renaissance, if you would, or revival, whatever you want to phrase it, of artists that say they got tired of hearing a generic, because when you listen to certain music, especially like the Velvet Sundown, where you can hear in the underlayers, the vocals have, with AI, it has a different vocal approach where it sounds clean, but you hear kind of like a whining rasp to it. It's the same thing of dropping ChatGPT and you see kind of the line. You could tell what it is artificially made from human, because the thing that we'll never actually have to worry about is the imperfections that make us us. AI will perfect it to a point to where they're going to try to make it elaborate and quick, but most things that are elaborate and just really fast don't really mean crap.
So the literary term for that is uncanny.
There we go.
Humans do not like things that are uncanny. They something that either looks human and is not, and we are aware of it, or something that looks so far away from being human that we don't perceive it as having a soul, and that's creepy to us. And poets have been writing about that since the 16th century, easily. And I think that we're definitely coming up into that thing. And I think you're right. I think there's going to be a separation where it's going to be a badge of honor that this has been made just by human hands and has not had a AI touch it.
Talk about the early certification. You have your own authentic report of signing a signature.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, because you had mentioned something as we were before we started about using AI in some of the stuff that
integration.
So how does that work? Talk to me about that.
This is
I'm
kind of
fascinated.
This is that gray area, because when it comes to AI itself, I always believe it's the purpose of it, but also what's the better way of putting it, Joey? Essentially saying that it has to have purpose, but it has to also not tread in waters to where for AI itself, it's man-made. There's no way around it because the input has to come out to the output. Like whatever you're typing in, like I need to find this movie. Someone put in the coding of, hey, so this is how to find that suggested like question.
Right.
So it's automatically flawed to the human error. That's going to be happening. Everyone says that it's going to be completely flawless. No, because humans are full of errors. The ones who make this stuff is going to be full of errors. And so I think the best term for it is, as long as it's regulated, that is my thing. Because for mine, for instance, I use Notice. Flo, shout out to you. I use Notice essentially for when I'm talking on my phone. I'll go on Telegram or WhatsApp and I'll say, hey, like this podcast. I have this podcast. I have these questions I want to ask. Date this, drop it in. It puts it in my calendar and I'm good to go. That makes my day somewhat efficient because
that's fantastic.
Yeah,
That's great.
Because I like the fact that one, it's not too invasive, but also I'm like, hey, so it's gonna help me know what I'm doing. So I have to spend 15 minutes plugging in my stuff. And I don't know about you guys, but I type very slow. So it's one of those things where it's very helpful.
I'm old, so yes.
So it's where you draw the line on how is it appropriate and what is the long-term goal with this. Where if, back to your point as far as the music, if it becomes something quick and easy or the person's too hard, it should be hard. It's a skill set. It's something that people, you don't wake up and think, I'm going to do like a song and just be done and then go something else. You could, but a lot of folks live this towards a passion to where you know you're going to make a mistake. You're literally walking into entrepreneurship doing this because you don't know if you're going to do well or not, and it doesn't really matter. But when it comes to the whole scale, like even with artistic stuff, like AI generated artwork, that's its whole like different argument because folks, if they can't afford it, a lot of folks have problems financially. I get it. What if you can't afford to spend $4,000 on an actual piece, own the artwork, get the contract? What if you need to spend just like you're putting a song together on SoundCloud and you want to get, I'm not going to sit there and criticize you for trying to do what you can with the means you have. But if you're going to understand the same point too, is that you don't own that artwork. Someone could resell that because you can't own it.
Right.
So how do you draw the line on what is literally yours? And this is kind of that weird gray area.
So no, it's absolutely a gray area, and this is a spot where I'm existing currently. So with my, we were talking about my vampire podcast last time at Magoosh Medrick, and that has been the main barrier for me not being able to get out stuff on the schedule that I want is the artwork.
Right.
And it's because I am refusing to use AI to generate that in order to do it because I would like to pay an artist being an artist myself. I don't have the drawing skills to be able to get the style going on. And I don't know if that makes me better or worse than anyone for the fact that I'm willing to hold myself back on that until, you know.
I'm on the same boat, dude. Like I literally have, like I showed the graphic, that's Barnaby from Crossfade Designs in the UK. Like he does realistic stuff. I give him a green screen backdrop. We'll get some stuff. That's my actual first time doing photorealistic. Most of my stuff is illustrated because illustrated you could literally paint the picture exactly how you want in fine details. But that's the same reason with me. Like I feel even dirty sending reference shots of what I want through ChatGPT as far as my idea.
Right.
One specifically because if I give that idea, it's to anybody else. They can have it. So it's that weird area of where are you willing to draw the line for creativity and authenticity? Because are you willing to subject yourself to having someone have the likelihood of getting your idea first and just being done? Or are you just happy of just, okay, this is what I wanted and that's good enough for me?
So I think with that, it comes down to a question of whether or not you believe that ideas are finite. So there was an illusion designer going across the street to the magic world, my background, dude named Jim Steinmeier, and he is the most prolific illusion designer of the 20th century. So you could go to any magic show on the Vegas Strip, and I guarantee you more than 50% of the grand stage illusions that you see came out of this dude's brain. He's the one who invented how Copperfield disappeared the Statue of Liberty back in the 90s and walked through the Wall of China and did all of that stuff. We use the illusionists that I've worked with for the last 20 years. Brad Ross, Steinmeier wrote his show and did the whole thing. Amazing mind. And there was without getting super specific because I don't want to like out him or anything, but there was a particular, some magicians kind of like AI
Yeah.
with this, are unscrupulous, and
Right.
they decide that because they have figured out how something works, that now that gives them license to be able to start selling it and doing their own thing, even though that idea is not original. It's not like they had the idea. It was not independent creation.
Right.
It was, I saw this and I was like, okay, hold on one sec. And they rewound the video a whole bunch of times and double checked, and they figured out how to do it, and then they started selling it. So this other
Like
designer
a crash course of how to do it.
Exactly, yeah. So started selling one of Steinmeier's illusions. And Steinmeier, I don't know if he served him with a cease and desist. He absolutely called him. It was like, what's going on, dude? What's happening? And the guy like, well, I switched one of the things, and so just enough to change it. And rather than pursuing that and continuing, he went the complete opposite way. And he was like, it's yours. Fuck it. Don't care. And he completely disowned it and will not recognize that it's his now. Because that was like, I've got so many more ideas that are better than this pittance thing that you decided to take from me. Take it.
Right.
I love that approach.
It's elegant in saying fuck you.
Yeah.
Right.
I heard something recently. Horror writer guy Stephen King.
Yeah.
He does that, right?
Yeah.
He's got so many ideas. I think he gives them away, or like they're $1 or something like that, right?
sells movie rights for $1.
He does, yeah.
Yeah. He's like, take it, do something with it.
As a total sidebar, I just saw The Life of Chuck. Stephen King short story that Mike Flanagan directed. It's the guy who did Dr. Sleep and House of Usher and Haunting of Hill House and all of that. One of my favorite directors currently. And it was one of the best movies I've ever seen. So if you have not seen it, go.
What's it called?
The Life of Chuck. And it is about a dude named Chuck and his life. But it's done. I know.
Miraculous on how it got there. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's done in 3 acts. And so it starts at the end of his life, then you get the middle, then you get all of the context towards the beginning of his life, and everything connects together. And it is one of the best films I've ever seen. Not in the last 10 years, like hands down. I was crying throughout this thing in the best sort of a deeply emotional way, and it made me feel connected to my loved ones and to a bunch of strangers and to everyone who was having the
You
experience.
check that out.
Real
'cause-
people art, yeah.
It was fantastic.
I've been just
Shout
saying,
out.
fucking movies have been terrible, so I'm looking at stuff.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, the last one I've seen is like About Schmidt with Jack Nicholson, and that was a rough watch. 'cause,
Yeah.
like that's like the whole spiral of like how someone went from where they thought their life was at to it's completely the polar opposite. And that ending was crazy, man. Like just like right in the picture of the kid, I'm like, oh, that's heartbreaking. Yeah, it's so good.
You were saying shout out to what now?
Oh, shout out to the Pocket Queen who plays drums in that movie.
Oh,
yeah.
She's one of my favorite YouTube drummers or Instagram.
In The
I
Life
follow.
of Chuck, she plays drums?
Yeah.
There's
I'm familiar with her.
there's
she's
a
in it.
scene without going spoilers on the why behind it, but there's a scene where she's just playing on, like, she's busking, she's playing on the street, and Chuck walks by and just stops for a particular reason and listens to her and starts dancing, and there's this amazing moment where everything kind of comes together and it's just beautifully done.
Interesting.
So anyway, that's lots of ideas. Stephen King absolutely gives them away for free, and
I love that, dude.
yeah. So I don't know, ideas, but I absolutely get it. With Fair.vu, with my whole company,
yeah.
the thing like that. Yeah, we want to get out there and do our thing before somebody else has the same idea
Exactly.
and then is able to do that. So it's a balancing act between the two. And I understand the anxiety or the fear of not wanting to get claim jumped,
That's
if
literally
you
the
will.
biggest.
Flame jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the biggest feeling
Bring
or
back
the
an
biggest like cockiness ever is like, oh, you can just take whatever you want. You can't do anything better than what I have so far in my head. Like that's the most like, oh, don't worry about you. I'm good.
That's a big fuck you. I love it.
Yeah. It's
Or it's like, hey, I want everybody to succeed. Here, take this and go.
exactly.
I'm that way about, for many years the dough recipe was on the wall. People come in, I bet you don't give it away. I'm like, it's right there, dude.
Seriously?
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
I don't give a fuck.
I love that.
I give it out starter hundreds of times.
So here's the thing, because this brings it around to whether or not we're going prefab AI
Right.
or not. You've put in the man hours to be able to know how that feels and to put all of that stuff together. And it's not the same to give some Joe, some recipe and to have me, I guarantee you I'll fuck it up on the first time out and be like, why is it not working? Because I haven't logged the 10,000
That's how I
hours to
give
be
it
able
to
to
them.
do
I
it.
give them the starter. I'll be like, I will give you all the things. Here it is. And I say, good luck.
Yeah,
I mix the dough by hand. It is a feel thing. Good luck.
that's cool.
I can give you all the tools to do it, all the information I have. And when you
Exactly.
put your hands in the fucking thing to do it, good luck.
And here's the thing. If someone
hope you get there.
puts in the time and they end up getting
There
there,
it is.
likely they're going to come back to you and be like, hey, check out what I did here. And all of a sudden, there's a bond that has been created between the two of you because you've got commonality happening.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Now we can have a conversation.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's like, hey, we have shared experience now. Now we can talk fucking shop.
And that's the prime word, the conversation experience.
More often than not, there's people I give the starter to. They'll come back, hey, can I buy 6 doughs? I was like, I gave you all the tools to pay for that convenience.
That's true. That's true. It is a convenience thing.
Absolutely.
Which goes back full circle
There
of
you
why
go.
that's the thing,
There it
because
is,
convenience, why the music is being pushed so fast, because convenient. And not because convenient. Not all the best things is not good for you. Shout out to most of the fast food we eat these days. It's not good for you. You eat it
Put a frog in your pocket?
Yeah, that's just saying. But yeah, it's just all convenience, man. So yeah, that's my stance on it.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, man.
I think how much of that do you think comes down to the diminishment of an attention span due to?
Oh yeah, we're already short. I think we went from goldfish to now like it's even less than a goldfish. So it's pretty.
Because people want things now and they don't want to wait for it. And I know that I was at a magic convention about 10 years ago, and there was a speaker who was given a talk at one of the breakout sessions or whatever. Magic convention, by the way, just as a side note, if you don't have to be a magician to go. You just pay your fee. You'll be lost through half of it because there's going to be some dude talking about like, here's a sleight of hand move that was invented in 1901 and was first published in this book by this guy on such and such page. And here's
Get to the magic already.
It's like the master's level chorus of like crediting people, which is cool, but it is a strange, crazy, weirdo experience of getting together with a whole bunch of people and talking about how do you make the impossible possible and what the thought process is to be able to make that stuff happen. It's pretty cool.
That sounds
So
fascinating,
I was listening to this dude's talk, and he was discussing about attention spans and how that deals with magic now, specifically with magic that is being shot. At the time it was YouTube, but now it's TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. Because having magic on this stage, exactly, is much different than having it done in person.
Absolutely.
And you cannot take as much time as you would because people lose it immediately. The average length of a commercial in the 1950s when TV was brand new was 3 minutes.
Dang.
For the same product was 3 minutes going through, and that has of course come down now to a 30-second spot is a pretty long spot, as opposed to like little 5-second or 3-second like
little jingles and stuff.
Exactly,
like
that pop up on Instagram as you're doing your thing. Just there's the thing, and okay, I know the product now. Move on to the next one. Move on to the next one, and it's everything is fighting for our attention, and it's difficult. So I think with the AI thing, coming back to Suno of him being like, well, it's just really inconvenient to be able to do that. It's hard. I don't want to gatekeep anybody. If you want to be a musician, go practice. Like that's how it is. You have to suck for 10 years, be in a basement, have the time of your life with your friends, or be in your room, write your songs, do the research, do the thing, and that's it. But it's putting in the time and the man hours, and it makes me wonder where we're headed. I sound like such an old man when I say that. Where are we going now?
I keep coming to us. Like, am I just getting old? It's like back in my day, we practiced for hours to get good at something.
Yeah.
So you just say back in my day, you've already lost your grandpa syndrome. It's grandpa time.
I have to change the prompt on that for my own brain group.
I can recall. That's better.
More I can recall. Look at you.
There we go.
I can dig it.
The
PR training.
The 80s still feels like 20 years ago.
Yeah, right?
So there you go.
Yeah.
It's bananas, man. You guys both being professional musicians, you brought it up recently about Pocket Queen busking in that movie. How do you guys feel about busking?
Not only do I not have a problem with it, I have absolutely made money and been able to eat because of that at some point. I think it is an interesting. I think it's really good for learning because if you make mistakes, people aren't going to be like, hey, you're really bad. They're just going to walk away and not pay you for anything. It is about pulling attention. This is, of course, as a performer, I've busked as a magician. I've done it as a musician, and I've done it as a performance artist. My first year in Portland, right before the pandemic, was 2019. During Christmas, I got into full Victorian garb, and I went downtown in Portland to the Skidmore Fountains, and I read aloud Dickens' A Christmas Carol for everyone in like a top hat and everything, and took 3 hours to do that. And
damn, dude,
it was great. It was a lot of fun. I had and I made some decent money doing so, just providing the service for people. But I think it's a good trying ground to learn what attracts people and what brings their attention.
Just to clarify, what is that by chance? Because I haven't heard the term in a very long time.
Busking?
Yes, just clear.
It's an old person term. It means perform. It's true. It means
what I
performing
can
on the street for
recall.
money. So
Okay.
putting the hat out. So what she was doing in the movie, having a musician who's like playing a guitar or whatever. You go down to the waterfront in Vancouver. There's that dude who's there with us.
The guitarist and stuff like
The
that.
guitarist,
Yeah.
or sometimes there's a dude with a trumpet or a flugelhorn.
Yeah.
And yeah, having your hat out is busking. So doing your thing out
Used to
there.
be at the
and-
beach all the time. That was my gig
Yeah.
for a little bit.
Oh, so
Your
you're
summertime
done.
gig, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly like it was the harmonica stuff. And I was like just having a good time because at the beach, people were just there, spent out with their families, walk around, try to have moments.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it's not about me. Like I'm just there to have a good time. It's nice weather. I'm just gonna play, just to play.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
It adds atmosphere. I'll tell you, I had an absolutely magical, transcendent experience with a busker once in Munich. I was in Germany leading I used to be a high school teacher 10 years ago. And so I was leading a tour of students around, and we were in Munich, and it was just barely after sundown. It was twilight out, and it was great. You ever seen the movie Donnie Darko?
Yeah.
yes.
So I think it's off of that soundtrack, but Under the Milky Way. By the Church. It's just, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
that song.
Amazing song, beautiful song. It has a freaking bagpipe solo. Like, come on. Like, it's pretty amazing. But we were just crossing down from the plaza where the Glockenspiel is, and the traffic was going, and there was just sort of like the symphony of the city happening around me, and it was really wonderful. And this person had a guitar and finished playing whatever the song was that they were playing, and then they started the opening chords of that, and I stopped and I listened to the whole thing. Like the dude stopped me in my tracks and sang it with this slight German accent and did it in his own sort of a style in his own way. But that added such an atmosphere that brought me into the present moment of just being around, and everything in that moment was just perfect. It was super cool. Obviously, I'm talking about it on a podcast.
Exactly.
10 years later,
Yeah.
it has meaning,
100%. I have missed subways and trains because
Yeah.
being underground in New York City. And
so
be
much
like,
talent there too, man.
Yo, what the fuck is that? And you go over there and just be like, I'm giving you the money in my pocket now. There's plenty of cats. Those two black kids do all the Beatles songs. What do they call it, the Black Beatles or something? You know those guys, right?
I've
They're
seen-
fantastic.
seen 'em, yeah.
Yeah. Would you consider Ari busking? I don't know if he takes money or anything like that. You guys familiar with Ari on Insta?
No.
Oh, pull fucking Ari up.
All right.
This dude is fucking bananas. Talk about just like fucking, there is inherent talent out there and people just have it walking around. So this cat has a rig that he designed, and he's got, synths and recorders and all kinds of things. He started doing it during the pandemic, but he walks around and gets people on the street. He'll make a beat on the spot
Okay, sure.
and then have them rap over it. Some of these cats have bananas bars. So this is all on the spot, making music.
Oh, I
right
remember
here.
this guy. Just the whole production, the beat, and everything.
So it's everything
Yeah.
right there, yeah.
Yeah. I know.
And he's got this bananas
Okay.
rig. He's just walking down the street with it. They're making this right on the spot.
Not seen on the best route. No plan, cause the team not fleshed out. Why we writing names in the sand when the sea wash away everything that we
Yeah.
That's why we pouring drinks on my birthday to celebrate the birthplace, celebrate the sunny boys, celebrate my worst days. We in a book, I just flipped it off the worst page. We keep a book, I make the world bleed green and purple. Pass rock to
Just walking around New York, people come up to him and say, "Hey, what are you doing?"
I mean that shit. I got my white tee, fat Joe, lean back shoot, and I just slide to the beat. On a path, you can still get lost.
Clean cuts, I like it.
Right? I don't know how much he does in post or anything like that. Clearly, there's somebody filming.
Two people.
But he's got a jillion followers. People are constantly in the comments be like, yo, make a best of and just release it on Spotify. The shit's hot.
Make a best of and don't release it on Spotify. Make a best of and release it on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Or something, yeah. He just had one of the famous guys on it. Whoever this guy is in the middle.
This guy?
Yeah.
Talking about
Henry Mack.
Harry Mack, yeah. Yeah, the freestyle god over here.
He went long and bananas.
Yeah.
This set's
Yeah.
remarkable. I don't know if he takes money. I don't know if this is busking, but it's just him walking down the street making music. You can see the crowd around him in the park.
I would kind of say that he's almost bridging the gap because he started on Twitch and he streams this on Twitch. You can follow him at Ari at Home, and he was doing this at home originally, but now he's
Ari at home, right?
and he does this live. I got to see him live at TwitchCon 23, which was incredible. He just walked past me with a guy with a big speaker on his
Yeah.
back. And he's, he takes donations or subscriptions from people on Twitch, which so people are paying him essentially to do this, but they're not necessarily right there. I don't know if he's got the hat out there.
This is 2025. That's digital busking, is what you've just described. That is, and that actually is a little bit what Fair.vu is talking about, of being able to
Exactly what you fucking got.
to stream that out and to be able to monetize that to your base, and take out the middleman so that you're able to make a living on that.
Beautiful.
Wow.
This guy's famous, right? Harry Mack.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know who that guy is.
Well, here Max usually does a lot of like, is it Omega or something like that, as far as like freestyle, bring people on and they get a beat, give him 5 words, he comes on top of the head. Like, dude's really talented.
Yeah, like he was just looking at people's shirts and like
Yeah.
making rhymes off of it. It was good.
You know
But
how well read you have to be able to pull that and what your vocabulary
it
looks like.
has to be bananas.
It's,
Absolutely,
it's incredible, and I love that. And reading takes time.
Right.
So
You know,
get in there and
Exactly.
do your thing.
Exactly.
I think
ChatGPT, make me a freestyle for this right now, please. Oh wait, it sucks. Never mind.
yeah, that. But even if you're going to do that, you're going to have to memorize it unless you're going to put it into some program where you can have it on your phone and have it look like it's a like a teleprompter, and then it looks like you're not reading. But then
You're
good
doing
luck
karaoke, you know.
doing that live.
Yeah.
I went and saw. I took my fiance and I took my daughter to go and see. This was probably 2 years ago. A band called Palais Royale.
Okay.
And they're fantastic. If you've not checked them out, please. Good rock band. Like they're from Las Vegas, and two brothers and a best friend, and like they've got this whole kind of emo, slightly goth thing going on, but like it's rocking it in your face, and just really good songwriting. And one of the opening acts, and I don't remember her name, but she was she was like a hip hop. She was a TikTok artist.
Okay.
And it was one of the worst shows that I have ever seen in my entire life, ever, hands down. And this is not shade to her, like you suck and you should stop, but this was a very obvious manifestation of her audience is right there, and so she's in a room that's quiet, and so she can have a voice that's like this, and it's very whispery and kind of very emotional, and the whole thing. And the second that she got up on stage, there was feedback. They couldn't do that. They had to ride. I mean, I felt so bad for the sound guy because it was an impossible situation because she couldn't project. She did not have any understanding of how to perform for a live audience in that live setting, and it was horrific. And here's the thing, and this made me feel awful as an old person. People still loved her and were into her because they were able to see her live and in person.
Exactly.
As shitty as her performance was.
Yikes.
So it was unfortunate. Now, if she keeps doing that, she keeps going out, that's cool. She'll be great. Give her 10 years and she'll get it figured out. And that's all. That's all cool.
Perform in front of a mirror like everybody else does.
Yeah.
But
That's what I do.
yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Because you see what your body language is, and she probably like didn't do that.
That's putting the time. Well, yeah, that's certainly. You
Yeah.
have to. You learn how to work a room. You learn how to use the space.
Yeah.
You learn how to interact with people and make eye contact. Especially in nowadays, people that freaks people out. For me, I will sing to every individual person who is in my space making eye contact, and if they don't look at me, I will get super close to them to do that because there's no screen here.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
once you get over that, oh my God, he's looking at me. But then they're into it and they're engaged. Exactly.
Connection.
There's
So-
a similar situation on NBC a few years ago, pre-pandemic, so 2018, 2019, after Carson Daly stopped his late show, whatever it was after the late night with Seth Meyers. They got Lily Singh, who is a YouTube personality. And they're like, oh, well, this person is funny and has an audience on her platform in that situation. So she's a late night host now. So we give her a late night talk show where she has to interview guests and deal with a real live audience and have written jokes and things like that. And it just did not connect. I mean, late show, like who's actually watching that? I don't know, but
There's an audience.
I know about it because a lot of YouTubers that I watch were like, why did this happen? And like kind of discussing that. It was the same kind of thing. It's like you're taking someone out of this element that they grew up in and learn their voice in, and then try to put them into like a real performing situation instead of maybe getting a comedian or something like that. Like, oh, this person's got name recognition. Throw them in there. No, wait.
It's context is what it comes down to, and this is exactly what you're describing. This is why so many times you'll see a TV show that is fantastic, and then they get a movie deal, and they do the movie, and it is horrible because those are completely different. They're completely different formats, right? If you're only writing for a 23-minute episode, you do not have to resolve something because everything resets the next episode, and that's it. Where all of a sudden, if you have someone punch a dude in the face and like, that's it. And then you have another 90 minutes to be able to go. Like there are consequences to your actions within that world contextually, and it doesn't translate.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Mr. Bean, I loved Mr. Bean.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever. Yeah. Okay. So like
And both the movies were masterpieces. What are you talking about?
I respectfully disagree with that.
It's a safe space. You could do that.
But yeah, long form, short form, and it's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a interesting notion that most creators in that aspect, like Charlie, as far as the singers and stuff of that nature, it's always hard to see them go short form to long form, then long form to short form. Because long form, once you already engage and know where your audience is at and comfortable living outside your skin for a little bit and doing different things, the short form content comes with a caveat because you're putting your brain in a span of 15 to 35 seconds to be the best you can be. And then once you can't fill that 35 seconds with another minute, your punchline's written. Things are pretty much game over. So it's a very weird element to be in.
That's what it was like to be on America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
So I worked on that show in 2016. I was on the creative team for the group that ended up getting second place, a group called the Clairvoyants. And mind readers from Austria, and they're phenomenal at both Tommy and Amelie, and I love them, and they're great. They had a huge challenge to overcome because you show up with your A material for auditions to be able to get into the LA, you get into the LA shows, and then from there, the way that it works is everything is compressed because TV's fake. We all know this. Yeah. So what takes an entire season is actually shot in 2 weeks or 16 days or something like that. And so what would happen would be they would go quarterfinal round, and they would do their act, and that was something that we had taken months to be able to put together, and that they had been performing a lot, and we polished it and the whole thing. And then they made it through to the next round, and all of a sudden we had 2 days to be able to come up with a brand new magic effect, something that was impossible, that was in their wheelhouse, that would make them look good, that would sit on them well, artistically speaking.
Right.
And then once we figured out the concept, we had to figure out how to do it, with the method, and then rehearse it in the day before, and then there was live shooting, and then we did that, and then they made it through to the next thing, and then it was another 48 hours of the timer started again, and it was hard as hell.
Yeah, man.
Believe it.
Making that shit translate to TV too.
Exactly. Wow. Exactly. And they killed it. They did such a good job.
Awesome.
And they've got an amazing career. They go back and forth between Vegas and Austria, and sort of the German-speaking world. Austria, Germany, Switzerland, and they're great. But it was they put them through the ringer, man. It was rough.
I believe it.
Beautiful.
That is why I totally just lost the thing of coming up. Oh, that's why in this I might get shade for this.
It's okay.
I don't think Saturday Night Live is amazing most of the time, and it's because they have to continually come up with stuff all the time. Occasionally, everything aligns, the planets align, but that was a cultural artifact from when I was young that is continuing
Goes
on
back
now.
to convenience, my friend, where things you have to come quick on the spot for certain things, and you can't usually do that. It takes a little bit of time to proof it, and then go through
And on the other hand, sometimes constraining things breeds creativity.
Constraints-led approach. Absolutely.
That is so. Like when I used to teach English classes, I would have my students tell me what they did last night, but they couldn't use the letter E. They had to select words not using that. Lyrically, try it sometime. Yeah. Pick a letter, don't use it, and it forces you to
no vowels or whatever. Oh my God.
Exactly. But you get creative in doing that. But there's an art to doing it and getting comfortable with that improvisation and with that sort of flow with it. So I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying it's a difficult space to be in, and it takes time.
I had to read backwards and spell backwards. That was a nightmare in itself, man.
What is that? I don't know if it's a famous book. I heard about it though. I don't know what the name of it is. But the cat didn't use the word "the." I think the entire book. It's several hundred pages.
Jeez.
Yeah. Fuck. You got to come up with some words. There's other words. Use them.
Yeah. Kind of circling back to the SNL thing, I've been listening to Amy Poehler's podcast.
It's pretty good, yeah?
I like it.
Yeah.
It's good. And she was talking with Natasha Lyonne. Hilarious. and kind of talking about that, having these ideas, and then that thing of like, you have this idea, it gets to dress, it gets cut. They're like, we don't have time for it or whatever. But it means you're less precious with those ideas. So maybe like, SNL, like,
right,
because they have to spit out all these ideas, like maybe not all of them are winners for sure, but it kind of helps you breed that, like, okay, I'm not tied to the idea. Who cares? Anybody can have an idea. It's the work you put into it. It's, it's like, this is just a vehicle for, us exploring something about humans together in a relationship.
Experimentation, if you will. Yeah.
It's just like, who cares about the idea? It's just like, toss out ideas.
That's a really cool perspective, actually, of being less precious with an idea. Like we were talking about, our idea is finite, or do you have an infinite store of all
That's
of
just the
that?
main thing, where it's like just the more you throw out, the better it is, because then it goes back to how efficient and experienced you are is how fast you can turn things out, which has that another counterintuitive like expression to where if you have more knowledge, more like experience in it, the faster you put things like, it's not worth that much to me because I know I can create something just as better in like 15 seconds. And most folks can't because it takes experience. So
It's the experience is the point.
Yeah.
100%. I went to high school with a kid named Kian Watson, and he was from Vermont, moved to Truckee, California when we were juniors, and he was hands down the best visual artist I've ever met in my life. This dude was insane at the age of 18. Like he was doing beautiful, stunning, transcendent artwork at 18, which was great. And he told me a parable once about two guys who wanted to learn how to make Japanese pottery.
right.
And they went to a master, and the master told the one of them, like, I want you to take an entire year and design the greatest ceramic piece that you possibly can. Think about the color, think about the design, think about the construction, and at the end of a year, I want to see the greatest work that you have ever done with that one piece. And he told the other dude, I want you to just pump them out, make as many as you possibly can.
Oh yeah.
And at the end of the
That
year,
analogy, yeah.
whose was better? The dude who had made 10,000 of them, because even though he had not been focusing on the other one, he had the experience over the dude and
So is
had
that-
learned
yeah.
all of the stuff and made all of the mistakes in doing that. So failure, I'm sure this was the dough is, and comes back to that same thing. So the
I think
experience.
I've seen that basketball analogy too, where it's like throwing the basketball up and how many shots you make compared to the pro athlete because you did more shots and did more attempts. So yeah, good point.
We've touched on this a couple of times with lots of entrepreneurs and whatnot, and how productive failure can be, how necessary failure can be to get to that end result that you desire. You must fail many, 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 many times.
Oh yeah, I think if business owners, entrepreneurships all together in one, if you don't expect to fail, good luck, because I take L's mostly every single day.
Yeah.
But you gotta flip them. But you gotta flip them.
Yeah. Turn them into
Because
lessons.
I mean, like, essentially, like the hot sauce you guys had, like, I'm not doing that anymore because essentially that was a piece of the work that was like, okay, that worked for a little bit, and I was like, maybe just doing a little different.
Yeah.
And then I realized it wasn't just my thing anymore. But I will never actually devalue that experience of actually building connections with like the PDX hot sauce people, going out there and just building connections. So it's all about connection itself and like what the experience gives, because entrepreneurship, you're gonna fail. It's a matter of it's a matter of when. It's not an if.
Yeah.
But it's taking that failure, because you won't. For most folks, I saw one analogy, I'm trying to remember it, but most folks will never remember the failures. They're always remember the big success. You'll, like Thomas Edison, all these major failures, they only remember him for that one great thing he did. And for most of us, we get so fixated on the failures of what we have that when we hit that success, no one's gonna look at that failures. They don't care about that shit. They won't look at that one thing you succeeded so well with. And that's gonna be their focal point. So it's kind of vain of us to think, oh, we should just quit when something bad happens, or when, oh, we had a hiccup. Our inner monologue is saying, man, this fucking sucks, man, I suck. But it's one thing, you just keep pushing, because most folks are going to only recognize, especially attention span, people only going to remember the great that you did, because if you fail today, like if TikTok went viral with something stupid, people are going to forget it next week, because it's just one of those things.
So here's what's so interesting about that, because you're right, is in terms of those failures, we have set up a society where failure is not really acceptable. You are expected to succeed your first time out. Think about SATs or ACTs in high school, and things are very pass fail. marriages, the first time you're supposed to be able to
Nail it on a dot.
nail it
Yeah.
and get the whole thing and understand about vulnerability and communication and the whole. I have a fiance. I'm getting married in October.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. This will be my second marriage. I don't devalue the experience of my first one. I learned so much in terms of what I loved and also what I did not like.
What you
And-
tolerate, what your mental state.
Exactly. I got two amazing kids out of the deal, and she and I co-parent still, and we're, that's all good. We were not good long-term partners, but I didn't understand what that meant. But there was so much pressure put on about getting this right the first time. Even take marriage out of it, take it into learning how to date someone.
Yeah.
Especially in today's
And
whole thing of
be fair,
swiping.
even in COVID times, like that, when you were locked inside, and you I feel for those that just got in relationships during COVID, and they were like living together, and they didn't realize how much they didn't like each other until COVID hit, where they couldn't leave.
Yeah.
And I tell folks, that's the one thing to where until you get in the quarters with someone and you really see their sides that you are not expecting, when you see the worst side of someone, that's when you truly love them. Because that's accepting. It's kind of like the old proverb. Once you see someone at their worst, you enjoy them for who they are.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of like where it took me many relationships to find my one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did some stupid shit. That was on me. And then as you get older, you realize
Exactly.
you fine tune it. So yeah.
You hit a certain, whether it's age or whether it's experience level or whatever, that you understand what the non-negotiables are for you, how things best work, for you. And my previous partner, before I met my fiance, she had a crazy phobia of failing about anything, and she was a valedictorian. She was a straight A student, and for more than 4.0, and had been flawless and perfect at things for the entirety of her life. And so failure was a huge thing. My daughter is kind of like that. She probably won't see this, so no big deal. But
That's fine.
but that's learning how.
5 years later,
learning
what's up?
how to if Kiara, if you do end up seeing, well, first off, this is weird. I only speak French with my kids, so she hates hearing me speak English to her. So this will be strange anyway.
En français.
En français un peu, Kiara, si tu vois ça un peu plus tard dans l'avenir. J'espère que tu as appris éventuellement comment rater. C'est parce que ça va être si fabuleusement utile pour complètement ta vie. So I hope you've learned how to fail and do so graciously, because it's going to be useful to you.
Exactly.
So
Which goes back to the very beginning. We were talking about the AI music at first. I think that's kind of the main thing, is that, yes, said that folks are going to have a hard time. It's hard to make music. Enjoying how to fail is its own respectable pain. Like you have to enjoy the fact that, it kind of sucked today.
So to bring it back around to AI music, what makes music is the human element.
Exactly.
And of hearing. So I went to this punk rock festival yesterday, Punk in the Park.
Right.
It was phenomenal. I was able to, a buddy of mine, Leland Fallon, got us backstage, all access passes. He's been friends with the Descendants forever. He's friends with everybody. He knows everybody in the industry, and has been forever. And so it was cool. I ended up meeting Eric Melvin from NoFX, and he was there just hanging out. And like this dude, that band is the reason why I'm a musician, and I'm still playing punk rock 20 years later. And NoFX has got songs. I'm sure you guys have got songs that you've heard of as well, where they just speak to you. Here is this artist who is bearing their soul and their experience, and you see your experience in that, and they have been able to communicate what that feels like more eloquently and more accurately than I could ever hope to be able to do. And that's resonant. And it's the fact that AI is too perfect. It's uncanny, and it doesn't have the feeling. And so to link that with busking, I think busking is going to get bigger, if you want to say it that way, because there's no way to AI fake that. Maybe via a camera, but on the street, just doing that, like that connection of walking around with that dude's
Even improv,
beats
go
rig
as far
and
as
whatnot.
improv.
Exactly.
Because you live for the, like I've made like kind of like a list of like what to could actually talk about today. And most of it, and all these questions come down to, is how far are you willing to actually enhance or experience the human feeling of failing, because that's what you get for most of what you do as far as music related arts, anything arts, guaranteed. Podcasts, you guys have seen it, cooking, whatever. Like even me cutting, like it's the art of failing is the actual like the beauty of it. So I think I'm not afraid of artwork as far as AI. I'm not afraid of music, because they'll never replicate what I do. And at the same point, good try. Like, I know, like, there's folks that don't have their voicemails. They don't put their voice on their voicemail anymore because they want AI taking it. Bro, you've already lost that battle. So it's one of those things to where
those are the people who are like, no, I won't give you my ID. No, I won't give you that. Dude, if you're far and away, if you have not been off the grid for the last 30 years, you're already in the system. Like that's
pretty much.
That's how it goes.
So yeah, it's just about where you want to go with the conversation as far as like just. I think it's here to stay. It's not gonna move. It's Pandora's box. You opened it. It's fine. But same point too. It's responsibility of us as individuals who are creative and also in our own like means of knowing, okay, this is the value of what can contribute to society to make my life better for tomorrow. This is going to either do great for humanity because we can find ways to implement it in technology and medical fields to make us better. Like in their everyday thing, go back to everyday usage for your cell phones, documenting stuff, writing stuff down. It could help out so well, but also it's a double-edged sword. If it used maliciously, it could put us back so many years because then we go to Dark Ages.
It's being used maliciously. Yeah. I know so many people right now that because of everything that's happening in the news, they don't know what's real. They don't know,
especially those video generations ones. Like it's getting so. Like 4 months ago, they couldn't generate a proper dog with fingers.
Yeah,
and just like human fingers itself, there's still no problems with hands. But now you can literally see deepfake 24/7 political stuff, which that gets its own input because most folks get so emotionally tense and so like what they digest daily that. All you gotta do is just find a way to properly make the eyes lock to the face, get the mannerisms down, and then you make a very, very scary audience. So
I would love for AI to be used to figure out about how to save the environment. Let's figure out how to eat plastic. Let's figure out how to kill cancer. Let's figure out how to clean the atmosphere in the oceans.
It would turn me off.
But yeah, I think the unifying thing for today, the vast majority of everything that we talked about is the human experience.
Exactly.
All of the various things about it, whether it's relationships or how we express ourselves through art and the things that we do in our spare time, and
that's why I'm not scared.
Comedy, yeah,
we fine.
and so I think what might end up happening. I mean, we are at this precipice where we've kind of come to this point, and it's going to be. I think it's kind of creepy and weird to say, but maybe actual human, real interaction and vulnerability and fallibility. Is going to end up being the counterculture act of rebellion against everything being corporate and perfect. And I'm old enough to remember when autotune came in, and I was in bands back in the early 2000s that were like, hell no autotune, nothing like that. If I can't sing it proper, that's fine. It's just going to be what it is because it's authentic and that's what's happening. And I was on board with it at the time. And now I'm not saying that I'm not. I certainly cannot sing perfectly all the time when we're doing stuff. Certainly not live.
Same.
I mean, if I'm 10 days into a 2-week tour, my voice is fucking thrashed, and I'm living off of tea and doing the best that I can. But it's I don't know. It's interesting to think about things moving in such a direction with. Perfection and having everything be amazing and flawless and perfect and to match with the algorithm. That Rick Beato talks about the homogenization of music that is happening currently, because on Spotify, a lot of what you get fed sounds the exact same. You could almost, and I'm sure someone has done it. If they've not, maybe we should do it. Randomly go out. This might be an interesting project, actually.
Okay, well, we'll follow back to this and we'll do it.
So check this out. So maybe we go onto Spotify. Maybe we find a bunch of bands in a particular feed in a playlist or something like that get fed to us. And if we can go and figure out about keys, let's pick some stuff that's in the same key, and then let's see if we can cut and chop things together and from 7 disparate songs end up making one track that sounds like it was perfectly done. I would be willing to bet that it would fit
4-chord song.
Yes, exactly. The 4-chord song idea. Do you know about this concept? The 4-chord. It's it could be an interesting project.
Give it time. It will probably be the same way. That's where I was actually talking to Josh, my producer, before I actually came here. For the Make You Mine song working on, I literally told him that every pre-chorus in the song needs to be different because it can't be universally sound. Our biggest thing is that when you have NuMetal in itself, it's structured, and then its own thing.
Pause for me for a sec.
Go for it.
Define your NuMetal for me, because your NuMetal and my NuMetal might be
Okay.
might be different to what's
so
up.
this is actually going to be a very interesting conversation.
Yeah, hit
so
me.
for NuMetal and the way I have approached it for many years, and what I ingested, we have Deftones. You have literally anybody you want, whatever you want to define as NuMetal. For you can go every span you want to use as far as hip hop elements. You can have funk and jazz inside of it to put it, production, hip hop background in general, like however you want to approach the formula of what makes NuMetal.
Sure.
Mine has always been have the hip hop elements, but also find a way to put the rock inside of it to where if it's not literally just putting a bass line on it with a nasty riff and just rap on top of it. No. What I have been trying to fight for years and doing, which this is where it goes back to the experience of practicing and making, where even the first 10 songs gonna suck a little bit.
Yeah.
But so far, like even with now for the current one, we're trying to go for Dark Ages and like early Renaissance and stuff like that because it constantly goes back and forth. And I was like, okay, so what we could do here is formulaic, is have the intro, the verse drop in, have the same melodic guitar sound, hit the pre-chorus, get the chorus going, make it, because the hook has to be really catchy, and then keep the same like sound. And for the longest time, what I know for mine is that for my vocal style, it always changes. I can't approach a song of talking like this and then just go from nowhere else. I have so much weird places to go with it that I realized that the production itself, it's never hip hop and just rock. I'll have funk elements. We'll have Faith No More elements. We'll have literally everything you could think of into it, but the only thing that keeps it NuMetal is the hip hop and the rock element.
Okay.
And when
that's cool.
Even when I try it, I told them my signature has been for the longest time. We work on doing a breakdown toward usually after the second verse, and we put timing signature elements and either like flutes, lutes, whatever, and put it inside the actual production of the song. And that way you know where the period's at, because we tried so many times to put in different elements in the verses. I'm like, bro, this is good storytelling, but how many times you could put, like, even with the 23 Nights song, how many times you could put like a harmonica in it, and all this cool stuff. And when it comes to NuMetal, like for mine, is that this has been my argument for freaking years. Because I have people who love it and say it's NuMetal, and I have folks say that's not NuMetal. I don't know what the fuck that is, but that's not NuMetal. And I'm like, this goes back to the beginning. Whatever you want to call it something. As long as I enjoy it and I know where I want to go, then it doesn't really fucking matter. But
there's no NuMetal police out there.
Yeah, essentially, it's the still generation of like NuMetal is great, but NuMetal sucks. Like it's literally what the same people who say I love NuMetal sucks. It's kind of the one thing where if we go to like NuMetal itself, it's always goes back to the idea of NuMetal has been and will always be the genre that should never made it, because it was supposed to be the parody for the longest time.
Okay.
And then it became its own thing to where we've had like I said, go back to Deftones, where some folks don't say it's NuMetal, but they have their own preference. But I have always tried to bond the hip hop element with rock. But with mine now is I try to add more theatrical stuff to it, which makes it sometimes outside NuMetal, which has been my main caveat. And then when I dive a little bit outside that, dial back in with more rock, and then like, okay, I hear it again.
Nice.
But it's one of those things to where there's no label for me so far with it. I try to make it uniquely metal and try to give it a label, but at the end of the day, it's like, wherever you want to call it, doesn't fucking matter.
You can,
like,
if you listen to heavy metal, you can subdivide into
There's so many,
subcategories, and
like,
so
Norwegian death metal, folk metal.
so good for you for at least putting that label. Because here's the thing: humans think in boxes. We like to categorize things. We like to,
especially commercially. That's one of the main things too. It's like,
hugely.
What is it? I'm pitching this. What do you put? What is it? I'm like,
well,
what can I name it?
and that's one of the. I mean, that is a secret in terms of being a professional musician and marketing your stuff. You have to fit into a box somewhere.
Yep.
You can't, if you show up as an artist and you say, well, we're kind of a blend of whatever, and we do this and the whole, like I need a 3-second blip to be
Like
able to put
sheet,
out there to be able to do that. So good for you for at least embracing that, and you bring NuMetal along with you rather than you chasing what it is and trying to fit within the box. As a side note to that, that's an amazing title for an album. Flutes, lutes, whatever.
Flutes, whatever.
I heard that too. That was great.
Nice.
No, so that's groovy. It's I like the creativity, and I like your stuff, and I like how you're. We were talking before the camera started about you have a concept, you have a destination in mind.
Exactly.
One of the things I'm working with in my band, so we're writing finally, we're writing new music, which is delightful, and one of the things that happens in rock music, I think less in hip hop, because you gotta. To spit bars, you got to have vocabulary.
Yes.
Which is amazing. In rock music, you can repeat yourself a bunch, and it's no big deal. In rock music, you can repeat yourself a bunch, and it's no big deal. In rock music, you can repeat yourself a bunch, and it's no big deal, because we just call that a chorus. And people like repetition, and they can do the thing.
Like Pearl Jam and stuff like that.
And whatnot. Exactly. When you do that in, like I just did, if you're doing it in stand-up comedy, like people are like, "What the hell are you doing? That's weird. You don't."
Where's the punchline?
We don't talk that way. We don't think that way. So I'm my singer, and I love him to death. Clinton, should you be watching this, and you're doing great, by the way. He is so good. He knows about how to write a hook better than almost anyone I've ever played with. And he's able to do that and gets onto a chorus and is able to do it. And I'm like on the other side being like, you've said it 12 times, back it off, do something different. Give me another word, give me another way of saying this. Cut the syllables, not again. And he's like, but people are gonna wanna sing it. And then we play it live. And then people are singing it. And I'm like, okay. And then we play it, once it's been recorded 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 times that we've played it live, then I look out and like by the 12th chorus, people are like, okay. And I'm like, aha. So we got to hit that sort of in between. There was a song that I wrote over the course of the pandemic about a breakup.
Right.
And it had what could have been the chorus, content at the very, very end. And he called me. He's like, you've just written the best chorus I've ever heard, but you only do it once. We gotta come back to it. We gotta put that in and do the whole thing. I was like, nope, that's not. There's no repetition in the song on purpose. And here's why I wrote it. And here's this. It's this many syllables because of X, Y, and Z. It's this many minutes. There has to be 19 seconds of rain at the very end. Here's why. Here's that. And he was like, okay, that's all good. So we're doing this thing of having a spot, but it's very easy, especially now. If you're using Easy Drummer or something like that, to cut and paste and just put this in and then double it and then do the thing, and it becomes, you think in fours. Fours and eights.
Yeah, man.
So you're doing great, Clinton.
Yeah, get with those polyrhythms already.
Exactly.
Easy Drummer. I don't even know what that is, but sure.
It's been helpful. It's been helpful for me, and essentially it's MIDI drums. It's professional drum sounds, but you don't have to sit there with the keyboard doing the thing. It's prefab sort of packs and drum beats that have been done. So like there's a pop punk one. There's something for
I'm using one for Sleep Token right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's prefab stuff that has been recorded by professional drummers that then you can take and it will adjust automatically to
like your MIDI and stuff like that.
How many beats per minute you want it to be, and you can drag it. So I will get a concept for a song. I just sent the guys a demo for a new one, and I used Easy Drummer. I know that Danny, our drummer, is not going to do that, and I don't want him to do that. I want him to do his thing, which is great. But here's what it is going to sound like rather than just guitars and bass and me singing. It gives you a more sense of a song, and you can kind of figure out what's going on. And so it's cool, but it's super easy to fall into patterns, and you just mindlessly sort of repeat that. I feel myself doing it, so it's a balance point.
I could dig it.
Oh yeah.
Awesome, man. I wanted to circle back to something you said in the early opening. I wrote it down. Late stage capitalism.
Yeah. I'm a socialist at heart.
You want to hit the button? There you go. Right on.
Is that the socialist music?
Cue the music.
Let's go. My
episode now. This is an episode.
The thing unfurls behind them.
My fiance is Russian, so that's hilarious.
Late stage capitalism. You say we're currently in that, right?
Yeah.
What does final stage capitalism look like? Has anybody ever known?
I think it's the collapse of the system.
In what way?
In terms of so I am not an economist. I've never been an economist.
Right.
But I think it has to do with the valuation of, well, I'll tell you what, I'll tell you what late stage capitalism looks like. Final stage was the French Revolution, is what ended up happening. Late stage capitalism at that time in 1789, when everything was coming to a head, the 1% had way more than everybody else, enough that's why Marie Antoinette famously, said, let them eat cake. In French, she actually said, let them eat brioche. Which but that's
French of her.
It's French. It's French of her, which is funny because her French was totally shitty because she spoke German.
Right on.
But they people were literally eating mud and dirt and things like that. People were starving, and everyone, the 1% had all of the wealth. They had all of the money that was going on, and they were bloated and using that, and nobody had anything else. And so it all of a sudden became a question of life or death. Now, do I think that that's necessarily going to happen here in the West? Maybe. It possibly could. I don't know if we have the gumption or the wherewithal. Those are two old people words. Yep. To be able to make something like that happen. But I will say that desperate people do desperate deeds. And at some point, something is going to have to change. And whether that is, the Russian system, the Soviet system, I should say, at the very end, the currency was completely devalued. When I graduated college, I had a family friend, and we might have talked about this on my first time here. I had a family friend who gave me the best gift I've ever received. He gave me an ounce of silver, and he gave me a 10,000 ruble note from 1917 from the Soviet Union, right when it had first been printed and Lenin had taken power and the whole thing. That used to be a lot of money, and it is now worthless and not worth the paper that it's printed on. And at the time that I got the silver, it was worth $33, and I'm not sure what it is worth now. But he said, this is a metaphor. Education is the only thing that holds its value over time. What you put into your head is the only thing that is going to not devalue, and everything can be taken from you. Your rights, your freedom, your human dignity, even your family, your clothes, whatever that is. But what goes into your head, if that is taken, you are no longer you. But that's the only thing that holds the value. So, in terms of what final stage capitalism looks like, let's say the dollar completely crashes and everyone, the 1% moves their stuff all into Bitcoin or crypto or something that is not physical, something that's it. Then no one can buy anything, no one can afford anything. In which case, desperate people once again, I think would come up to that, and whether there's a peaceful transfer and we start into a barter system and completely cut out people and go from there. That's kind of a hippie commune thing.
It works.
The opposite side of that is sort of the zombie apocalypse thing where, I don't have a gun and my neighbor does have a gun, which means my neighbor's going to have the stuff that belonged to me at some point. And that's definitely not a system. Whenever everyone always talks about what they're going to do after the zombie apocalypse, I'm going to die. That's my plan. I keep my credit cards high because I'm not planning on paying them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right.
I don't know.
So what happened in France? The 99% rose up and cut their heads off, right?
Yeah.
And what happened after that?
Napoleon took over. He seized power, declared himself emperor, started to try and conquer Europe.
Because he was in charge of the military, right? So he had all the might. All right. So it became what is that? That was capitalism. It got over, and then the military took over.
So France is in what they call currently the Fifth Republic.
Okay.
So they had the revolution, and then there was the French Republic was founded, and then there was another. Napoleon took over and declared himself emperor. Then he got too much power, and then people overthrew him, and they installed another king. They went back to the monarchy, and then he was overthrown. Napoleon came back so he was on Elba, and then he came back and did his thing. And so that was the Third Republic, and then he was defeated, and they sent him at Waterloo, and they sent him off to die on his island. And then the fourth one came in, and then World War II hit, and then it was Charles de Gaulle who started the Fifth Republic. So that's sort of where they are. So they've been doing a bunch of this stuff and figuring it out. So I don't know, maybe.
So there was life and there was progress after capitalism ended to a certain point.
When I say I'm socialist, what that means is I have no problems, me personally, paying taxes, so long as those taxes go to do something. If we're going to fix roads, that's great. I would love a place where my kids could have their education for free, so long as they kept their grades and they earned it.
Yeah.
And they did their thing. If I should not have to go into financial ruin and possibly die if I break my leg or if I get cancer or if I have an accident or something like that. That is absolutely abhorrent to the European system of thinking like, if something happens, like, and you're done, what happens? Well, you go out in the street and you live there until you don't anymore. Like that's the kind of the bleak reality of that. So I have no problem giving a portion of what I'm up to, financially speaking, so long as it's going to the greater, good of everybody. Equality for me does not mean that everyone is equal. It means that everyone is getting what they need.
Oh, from each according to their ability to each according to their need? Crazy.
And it rhymed. Bars, dude. Nice.
That's not me. That's Marx.
Richard Marx, I love his work.
Yeah.
He had that hit back in the day.
I'm sure you're familiar with the Vienna model.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I want.
So
Keep going, Charles. What's the Vienna model?
do it.
Yeah.
Vienna, the city of Vienna is highly socialized. When I was there, the tour guide kind of like reluctantly, she's from Greece, and she's like reluctantly told me, she's like, guys, this is a socialist city. It's like a lot of the housing is subsidized. So like, yeah, you're paying taxes, but you are getting your house in a lot of cases free or very, very low. It's not dependent on you making a lot of money to be able to live in these nice apartments that are close to high quality schools, have facilities of things to keep you healthy, to keep you social, to keep you getting good, decent food. There's like grocery stores and stuff built into these apartment complexes. And it's like, we talk about walkable cities or whatever. The public transportation in Vienna is insanely good. So you don't need a car to get around. There's trams, there's subways, there's all kinds of things to get around. And this big, beautiful city, and you can just go anywhere. And I think that's great.
Denmark, I was watching a reel before coming in here today. Denmark just instituted something to stop over-tourism, which is a huge issue in Europe currently. Especially, the last I heard, Hawaii doesn't want tourists showing up anymore because they're destroying their habitat and the whole thing. So Denmark, to combat over-tourism, just instituted this program where they will give free boat tours to people who clean up the canals. If you're a tourist and you want to go through and you clean the canal of stuff and you go through and there's like a checkpoint, you've just earned yourself a free tourism thing. If you want to go and clean up trash in a particular neighborhood or something like that, you get free meals at a gourmet restaurant or whatever it is. And so there's like this,
Giving back to the principle of it.
Exactly. It's kind of a cool concept. So I don't know. Socialism is a scary word for Americans. I think the majority of them don't know what it is. I think it has definitely been vilified and demonized.
I think most folks look at it of kind of the concept of, and this is kind of like just more American mindset of essentially like, why should I give what I have for you if you're not going to do anything for me? And that's
exactly.
And unfortunately, it's yes and no. If it's used, it's like human instinct. If we all use what we do maliciously, it's going to happen. But a lot of us, like, we should have to fight for good meals. Like in South Carolina, if you had to fight for having like decent meals at school, they used to have, when I was little, they had free meals. If you could afford it, they could be fine. They give you a budget. But now, like, nope, can't eat. Okay, well, I mean, kids going to school, being forced to go to school. Yeah. You want to let them get homeschooled, won't give them the proper teachings, and now they can't eat. So if they can't eat, they're malnutrition, so their brain won't work properly. So it's great.
When I was teaching, I absolutely had. I was at a Latino school that was 80% Latino in the ghetto. Yeah. And absolutely, I had students where that free meal at school was the only meal that they were having over the course of the day, and it's rough and scary out there, and I don't think that we. Here's the issue. They call this the American experiment, because it is indeed an experiment. Yeah. We are so populous. We are so huge. The distance between San Diego and Bangor, Maine, is the same distance from Dublin to Kiev, Ukraine. It's a huge distance. How many languages are in that? But that's a span of 6 time zones or something along those lines. Maybe less than that. Time zones are weird because they can do the whole thing. But in a country like Denmark, which is very, very small, programs like that might work in Scandinavia and Iceland. They've got 15 people there who live there full time or whatever it is. That's one thing, and then all of a sudden you have 300 million people, and even contained within the United States, how many different countries do we have here? Kind of the coast, and then you got Jesus Land in the middle, and that's sort of where that is, and then even subdivide regions from that. Even here, you got Portland and the metro area, and things change immediately as soon as you get outside of that, north, south, east, or west. Things get super rural. The politics change, and that's that. So how do you make all of that get together? How do you make someone, for me personally, like how do I make you care about someone else if you've not been taught that? I can't. I don't know.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Yeah.
Communication.
Always constant conflict.
The information.
Yep.
That's what's that guy's name? Guy where space. Charles Schwab. That's a banker.
That's a banker.
What's the guy? Klaus Schwab.
Klaus Schwab, the fourth.
You'll own nothing and be happy, or whatever his whole statement was. Does that go to that route then? That's an interesting philosophy that guy has.
And so that's a full-on communist approach, and I don't think that works. I think that goes against human nature.
Well,
I think that's sort of a
socialism doesn't.
I think it's a happy medium. Truth be told, the best, when I was in college, I had a professor explain to me the difference between socialism and communism.
Right.
Socialism is, I've got 2 cows, and the state comes in and takes one of the cows. I'm able to keep one of my cows, and I can drink the milk, or I can sell the milk. If there's excess of it or whatever it is. If I milk the cow a lot and he's super happy, she's super happy. My bad. I can do whatever I want with that milk because that's mine. Mm-hmm. In communism, the state comes in, takes both of your cows, and then gives you one back and tells you what to do with it. And if you are caught selling the milk on the side, then you go to prison. That was sort of the Russian system, right. the Soviet system on that. So I think that's a bit extreme, but I think there's a happy medium with that of, so long as you're working and you're contributing and you're doing the best that you can to your abilities, I think.
Yeah, I think
I'm okay to support that.
I'll say a scary word here, China, where like it might have started, in that more strict communist system, and what we've seen as it's opened up these markets and these special economic zones and things like that, allowed foreign investment, allowed things like that. We hear about sweatshops and stuff all the time, but the thing is, like, exporting our jobs over to China and all these sweatshops have lifted so many people out of abject poverty that had nothing, and now they have such a huge thriving middle class, and because of the amount of taxes that they are gathered, they've been able to build these amazing facilities, these giant cities, and everybody talks about, the ghost cities, and they're building these giant empty cities. Well, they're not empty anymore. They've been but a lot of the middle class have been able to move into these massive, huge cities like Shenzhen, Chongqing, things like that, and they live these incredible lives that we just don't see because, again, that's socialism has been vilified here, and we're just like,
Then they're like 4 years ahead of us technologically. So
Jimmy Carter, before he died, when the first time Trump came into office, I'm not going to get super political. I just said another one of those scary words, Trump. But Jimmy Carter, he came out and wrote a statement and said, look, China over the course of the last century has invested in their infrastructure. They've invested in training people for jobs. They've invested in roadways. They've invested in high-speed transportation and doing all of that. We have invested in the military and having people look at us and respect us, either through fear or earned respect or whatever that is, and us being the shining beacon to the world for democracy and maintaining that image. That's what we've invested in, and let's talk about math scores. Get out of town.
So let's open that dialogue then, because we're gonna open that can of worms. That sets the whole precipice of what our economy and our whole country up for failure. Because if you're so focused on kind of the Gilded Era of looking great, but the undertone, essentially that's how Rome went. You look so great face value, but literally your banking system is shit. The financial structure is dissipating. Education levels are all-time low. That's when there's another step of another country taking over, per se, because there's more allocated funds in a better direction that actually it looks oh, they're just doing that. It'd be fine. We'll take care of that 5 years later. Yeah, 5 years later, they're overdeveloped, and then you're underdeveloped, and then you have to reach out to them for all your assets again. So, yeah, it's a very dangerous line of going from having the melting pot. This is the melting pot of the country of having so much different ethnicities, but we have not found a way yet to work on it enough to where we're still in the characteristics of not being developed. We understand, okay, we have different people here. Was found a way to understand.
Yeah.
And no one wants to compromise. And that is the deadliest thing that's killing so much.
I heard once that Americans are very good at caring about each other and for each other in emergencies and in crisis situations. But we are very, very shitty at doing that long term.
Absolutely,
Yeah, exactly.
In the day-to-day, it's tough, yeah.
And why has to get to that point? And why you have to actually get to that point to actually love your neighbor and take care of that person and have that sense of like nurturing instead of just waiting until shit hits the fan. Oh, yeah, we care, because 9 times out of 10, that point is at mute because too much damage has been done.
Did you ever watch Firefly? The show Firefly?
Yeah.
There's one of the things that they did with that show that I absolutely adore that was sort of flew under everyone's radar is that everybody essentially speaks Mandarin and English as well. And it's because Earth It was the two biggest superpowers before everything blew up, and you have to go through the episodes and kind of get the lore through there. But it was the United States and China, and so I love the fact that they don't translate any of the conversations in Mandarin that they're having or the things that they say. It's just part of the world, and everyone understands it, and they're all on the same page. I don't know.
And we're back. Thank you. So that was a nice little side quest on late stage capitalism and socialism and communism and other isms.
Oh, the isms.
Yeah,
Get your education here now. So
that's what I'm doing. Thanks for helping with my education.
You're
John.
Join the Patreon.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll hit the
for homework for tomorrow. Anyway,
circling back to music industry.
Yeah.
what you got?
I read recently, whoever owns Spotify, that guy, he's spending $700 million on something. Can you pull up what he's spending it on? Can we agree that Spotify is kind of like the Amazon of the music world right now?
100%.
Yeah.
Wow, that was quick. Okay.
Let's ask the artists. They say yeah.
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 All right. So
I don't know. I feel like Amazon, you actually have better, like you actually get better reviews. Here, you just get stuck paying for Spotify's pennies when they do like billions of dollars of profit, and then it goes to your publishing royalties. No, motherfucker, I haven't seen any of that shit.
So we use Spotify to put out the podcast on other platforms and whatnot. I use Spotify every day. It's on my phone. I listen to podcasts and comedy and all the things. It's ubiquitous. Are there other? Is like Pandora even around anymore?
Pandora.
Yes, Pandora. Then have Deezer. You have like all these different other ones.
There's like 20 platforms out there. Something.
Oh, they're still out there like that?
Yeah.
Streaming. Yeah.
Okay.
Tidal.
Apple Music.
Tidal definitely
still out there?
for like
Right on.
quality and stuff like that. Yes.
So what's this guy spending $700 million for?
It looks like a defense startup called Helsing.
Charlie, what part of the internet you go to? It's not a music thing he's doing? Come on.
This is digitalmusicnews.com. What do you mean?
Oh, the most respected site.
European defense tech startup Helsing has announced raising 600 million euros in a new round of funding. The investment was led by Prima Materia, the venture capital firm founded by Spotify CEO Daniel Ek, who is also chairman of Helsing. Interesting.
Okay, so he gave himself $700 million.
Yeah. Use the new cash to invest in Europe's technological sovereignty, referring to attempts to onshore the development and production of technologies such as AI.
I'm not smelling double dipping, are you?
No, not at all. No, that sounds all totally above board.
The technology behind furthering defense has become a hot topic for investors amid global conflicts. In 2024, venture funding in Europe's defense, security, and resilience sector hit an all-time high of $5.2 billion based on a report from the NATO Innovation Fund. The sector saw 30% growth in the past 2 years. Blah, blah, blah. Helsing sells software that utilizes artificial intelligence technology to analyze large amounts of sensor and weapon systems data from the battlefield to inform military decisions in real time. Last year, the startup also began manufacturing its own line of drones.
Does this sound like Skynet? Is this the beginning of Skynet? Is that what's up?
Discuss. I heard it. I just wanted to put it on the table and see what everybody wanted to say about that.
So first thing comes to my mind
You're gonna
is
rob musicians and then fucking make killer drones.
oh yeah.
Ooh,
So
boy.
I think this is kind of the spiral to where things get kind of really bad because music in itself has always been polarized by emotion, politics, you name it.
It's art, yeah.
Once you find a way to literally control all of it, then you essentially own. It's kind of like, I'm not saying like most of the renters out here, but a lot of these companies, when you can monopolize so much, you have no loss. And I think this gets kind of dangerous because music, that's going to be a lot of folks go there for podcasts, you go there for your politics, go there for whatever you want to listen to. And yeah, they don't kind of belong in that.
I don't want my music funding drone creation.
Right.
It's really where that comes down. Interesting that in the small print, they're not in the headlines. He invested in his own company, so he took $700 million that was made off of you and me and
Still musicians.
yeah.
Only, yeah.
And has invested that into the defense sector, which is interesting.
I'm kind of curious if we can look on DistroKid
Still
or wherever
paying
you use for
taxes.
your music and
Yeah.
see if that's in the clauses for essentially a third party that we can actually negate that. Because if we don't agree to it,
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Here's the thing with stuff like this, and I mean, okay, laws in general. The rule of law, it only works if the laws are enforced.
yeah,
And a lot of the time, laws don't get enforced unless you have lawyers to be able to do
Right.
so, and a system that is willing to go through the motions of taking care of all of that stuff. I used to joke when I was in college. What digital audio workstation do you use? What DAW do you use?
Cubase.
Cubase. Okay, cool. I used to use Cubase when I was
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Sony Acid Studios beginning, like early beginnings.
So
And Audacity.
yeah. So I used to joke when I was at university that Pro Tools was going to be the beginning of Skynet, because Pro Tools is the industry standard of pretty much everything. If you want to do that, you have to get certified in order to run it. And there are tiers of that, and it's insane. It's like that top tier workstation with everything, and they also have proprietary hardware that only works with Pro Tools, and you have your own thing. That was always, that's going to be the start of Skynet. But interestingly enough, we've got the the guy who's in charge of all the music, who is now using that funding to fund actual defense.
So
stuff,
he's using his own money though, so it's completely fine, right? It's not like he's separating church from state. He can do what he wants with his own money, even though it's an AI-based startup where they're already starting pushing AI music, and go see how far they can push before it becomes a problem.
Helsing.
This
That
is
was the
Yeah.
Dracula hunter, right?
Van Helsing was, yeah.
Yeah. Van Helsing. Yeah. Interesting. So, I mean, Spotify is
Yeah.
music, but maybe we could agree that it is also data harvesting as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Here we go. Spotify faces boycott calls over CEO's investment in AI military startup. Yeah, I'm game for that.
But the problem is
Why am I
that
going to listen to my podcast at?
we're game for that, but folks are going to still support it. And the problem is because convenience.
Oh, absolutely that.
It's the same reason for anti-Apple and all the stuff, which I don't know.
My iPhone is right here on the table.
Say, I guess suggested ads for Apple Music in like 10 seconds. But yeah, it's an
What
interesting.
were you trying to... I didn't catch what you were saying about
was talking about-
comedians.
Yeah, as far as what? Sorry.
Comedians?
Convenience.
Convenience. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
It is super convenient.
it is convenient. That's what's the major problem for everything so far is like when it's convenient, it's hard to do pushback because if you don't want to work twice as hard, you're like, I'll let it go. But this is actually going to be the start of something kind of interesting because military, especially AI implemented military means of kind of like software protection, doing what they can, like who say they could say, oh, well, you're using you're using Apple. You haven't paid the certain subscriptions, have to brick your phone from using Spotify. And then if you try to use any like suggested like ad material or ad blocking stuff, they brick the whole thing and you really can't do anything because they have so much money to their back end. Yes, that's kind of weird. I don't like the form AI military. Scares the shit out of me.
Let's say-
That.
Say Helsing comes up with the Helsing D2 Village Destroyer, but while it's strafing the village, it's playing one of your tracks, and you make $1 million off of it. Go bananas! $100 million off of it.
That's some Tropic Thunder type shit.
Scary as hell right there. Yeah. Damn.
I don't know. As long as I don't hear run to the hills, like I will be like, all right, because when I start hearing that shit's going down, I'm like, oh, I'll get the fuck out of
It's
here.
an Iron Maiden or something.
Yeah, I'll get the fuck out of
So I'll tell you what, to bring it around to comedians,
Okay.
George Carlin had a bit about that years ago.
Seven
where-
Deadly Words or seven.
Yeah, that
Might
was
have
him
been
as
that
well.
one.
But this one particularly, he was going over the top and talking about, what we need to bring back is public executions. And what we could do is we could get sponsorships. So Budweiser would be all over that shit. Here's going to be the Friday night beheading brought to you by Budweiser. And we could line a bunch of criminals up, a bunch of child molesters or whatever it is, and we'll just cut heads off left and right, and then we can outsource it, and everyone can wear T-shirts, and then, there's going to be a bunch of other... Ford is going to take care of
branding.
doing all of that, and then going through. So the concept of the Village Destroyer 9000 or whatever, strafing a village while playing my music, and I'm making $100 million on that, that's just...
Imagine the guilty by association clause that comes with that too.
Yeah.
Like,
How scary. How crazy and weird
Yeah.
everything has gotten on that. So I don't know. I guess stay tuned and we'll figure out about it. Yeah.
When they reach out, let us know. We'll bring it back.
Oh.
Yeah, the old what was that? Apocalypse Now, Flight of the Valkyries they were playing when they were going over or whatever it was they were playing.
Yeah.
Bananas. Yeah,
Bananas.
Music has been a part of war biblical times.
of course.
You know? Joshua beating on the drums and all the walls fell.
Talking about the old Stonehenge last podcast we did.
Yeah,
The Stonehenge thing.
Yeah,
Which that was really interesting. Still haven't been up there yet.
yeah,
I need to actually stop being lazy.
yeah, man. The guy fucking drumming when they're all marching in line. It's like, you don't even got a gun, you got a drum. Hopefully
Yeah.
you don't get shot, guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I didn't know nothing about it. I just heard it in periphery, so I wanted to pull it up here, and I didn't know it was a military thing. I thought it was doing some music shit.
No, I'll probably
Nice.
play the Velvet Sunset when you hear a drum going over your head. It scares the hell out of me.
Interesting.
Oh man.
Yeah. I don't know. Has that guy done good stuff for music? I don't know, man. I mean, we all listen to fucking Spotify.
Yeah.
Is he a bad guy? I don't fucking know the guy.
Yeah. It's mostly I think the allocation of funds is the biggest issue. And
Rich guys are going to stay rich. They're gonna,
Yeah,
He's going to
yeah.
move his money around and get his money. So
of course.
it is what it is.
It's really much, but there's so much bankruptcy and there's like chapter 7.
I mean, what do they?
Yeah.
They don't pay musicians what they're worth or what they should, but they.
Don't get taxed either, especially since it's Switzerland. It's like that.
Hojogan got what $300 million from them.
Yep.
You know, so they got the cash to go out and buy people like that.
Yep.
I don't know, man.
Because the first video podcast.
Let's go even a step further on this. So
Okay.
imagine the village is being strafed,
Mm-hmm.
and a particular AI track is playing that was AI generated, and then AI starts vying for which track is going to be played when, and then you got the machines against them. And that's how we're going to defeat them: is we'll turn the AI musicians against each other.
Interesting.
And it just
Yeah,
goes.
we wouldn't have to pay you $100 million. We'll just make an AI track and
Yeah.
play that one. But then
Make a flawed track. I can't.
Give us a track in the style of United Defiance, but make it sound like they're destroying a village with
Right.
a good breakdown after the second chorus.
Ay.
Click.
Charlie, you're not typing that in there, are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, why not? This is what happens.
The versificator. That's right.
Yeah.
I just saw this this morning on Instagram,
Okay.
and it reminded me. I haven't read 1984 in a long time, but
I listened to it recently. Fucking bananas, read it.
there's a machine that just makes all the art and all the music and stuff. It just pops it out, so you don't have to think.
Here we are.
Nobody has to have those thoughts and ideas, and it stops you from creating.
2026. Here we go.
Clearly 1984. It says it right on the title.
As a quick sidebar, I saw 1984 when it was in New York. Like they did a live version of it in
Right.
2018. And it was supposed to be a 3-week run, and it blew up. It ended up being extended to like 9 months. And I got to see the production, and it was phenomenal. It was so well done and beautifully executed. And the level of detail that they went to on this thing, the sound designer in me loved this because we came in, we sat down, and then I decided I wanted to run to the bathroom before the show started. And as soon as I stepped out of the auditorium, I felt better. And I was like,
Oh shit.
wait a sec. And I stepped back into the auditorium and I went back towards my seat, and immediately I was on edge and I was feeling like this isn't okay. And I stepped back out and everything was fine. And I listened and I came to realize they were playing like a minor second. So an F and an F sharp together, but sub-audibly with the subwoofers, so that there was vibration happening in the air that was dissonant and did not feel good.
Infrasound.
To set everybody on edge before the show actually started. And whoever that sound designer was, beautiful work on that. Like that was otherworldly. It was super cool.
Yeah, it's a badass book. I gave away, I bought 24 copies or something like that. They flew off the shelves. I think that grew in popularity. There was
Well, I
a
remember
hockey stick on that one.
when I was working in a bookstore, because I had read it as in high school.
Yeah.
But I also read Brave New World, Aldous Huxley.
Same.
And I remember somewhat like right when all the, I forget the whole, like when the Julian Assange, when the WikiLeaks thing was happening, and we started hearing about like the NSA spying on your internet stuff and all that stuff. And a guy came in and he's like, do you have 1984? Do you have 1984? I'm like, yeah, here it is under Orwell. But I'm like, hey, you might also want to check out Brave New World.
Oh, nice.
Because, 1984 is this world controlled by fear and stuff like that. But then also, Brave New World is more about, stopping you from thinking, but with pleasure and
With pharmaceuticals.
and all this
Soma.
stuff. Yeah, and I'm like, some of this is also relevant. Maybe check this out.
Point counterpoint type thing. Yeah.
Bradbury, Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. What did I just turn on again? We were talking about it last time. Put on the Pigs, Napoleon, Animal Farm.
Animal Farm. Yeah.
Yeah, I started listening to that one again too. Fucking great books, classic literature.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck else did I put on? Gilgamesh, the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Okay.
I heard you listening to that. I was like, what is going on up there?
Have you ever listened to it or read it or anything
No.
like that?
I mean,
it's super short.
I've heard, like, it was in a literature textbook in school, and I've read some of it, but it was just like an excerpt.
It got me in the first couple minutes. I was like, there's this guy in the wild. The guy was like, go send him abroad from our harem over here, and she knows what to do. And it worked. I was like, yep, that's how it works. Yeah, man.
Have you read any or any of Journey to the West?
What's that?
It's Chinese and Chinese mythology.
I don't
essentially.
speak Chinese. I don't read Chinese. I eat Chinese.
But you can speak Sanskrit, and that's how you're reading Gilgamesh? What's going on? You can read a translation.
It was Gandalf reading it through the fucking Spotify. So, yeah.
No, Journey to the West. It's great. And there's a bunch of film adaptations.
write that, Charles.
One known as Dragon Ball is a great adaptation of Journey to the West.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now I'm intrigued.
So my takeaway from this is that Gandalf speaks Sanskrit. Is that what's up?
That's what I heard.
He was just reading it. Yeah, and you might like this one afterwards. So I put on Homer, the Iliad, or the Odyssey. One of them. You did both of them, yeah?
Yeah. They're
Yeah, he's reading that too. They're
Iliad
fucking good
goes into
stuff.
the Odyssey.
All through Spotify.
And you better
Sorry, I'm on
watch it
Spotify.
now or read it now because Christopher Nolan's making the Odyssey movie. So check it out.
Making a movie out of it?
That'll be interesting.
All right.
Okay. If anyone's going to do it, you...
So as musicians, what are you guys listening to right now? What's in your CD player?
I found a brand new band, a bunch of young dudes in their early 20s called Millington. And they are playing what they call brass emo. It's a ska band, like the 90s style ska with horns and the whole thing, but it's like if Bowling for Soup or Coheed and Cambria or who did the Black Parade? My Chemical Romance.
Yep.
If they had like trumpets and trombones and saxophones in their band and were doing ska music, that's what they sound like.
Nice.
And they are so good. And I just absolutely adore what they're coming up with.
Right on. I'm always looking for the music.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Joey?
Mine, Motion City Soundtrack. Essentially, they're coming back with a new album. This punk band, or kids, but essentially, I love punk. And so it's called Paradox. And,
Oh, they're so good.
yeah.
I know them as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the go-to right now. It's like, I don't know. Well, I feel like we'll get back to like early 90s. Like, I'm going to put some pop punk on. Oh, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's put a whole playlist. I'm like, that's fine. Try to lie at the fray because I'm like, that gets kind of depressing. But then I'm like, okay. But yeah, pop punk is kind of where it's at for me right now because need a little pick me up.
I could dig it.
Dave just put me on to this band he saw the other day, Beach Goons.
It's a good name.
They're
Seen the
Makes
ghouls.
sense for Dave.
they're great. He's been playing them at work. Fantastic.
What kind of music? If you had,
I mean, it's kind of surf rock, pop punk, like almost verging into emo kind of stuff. But it's like lo-fi kind of gritty rock stuff, which I totally love. It's great.
lo-fi gritty rock.
Ghost just put a new record out. I love Ghost. They are, if you're not familiar, they're heavy metal from Sweden, but they are over the top theatrical.
What do you think of Tobias?
Yeah, I think I'm a metalhead at heart, and I think he's great.
Okay.
I've drank the Kool-Aid. I think he's an amazing songwriter. I think that he very
Favorite
much.
song so far? What's your favorite song?
Oh, dude, that's a hard one. That's a really hard one.
The songs.
And what do you think about
Tobias.
their working with the new Halloween movie and the collaboration Hunter's Moon that came out?
I'm game with it.
Because a lot of folks look at bands like, oh, they sold out. I was like, okay, because you want to see them get better, and then they have another fan base that probably wouldn't have heard them or listened to them.
In 1994, there was a band called Lagwagon that put out a record called Trashed, and on there's a lyric that they start singing about. It's about college radio, and this lyric has stuck with me forever. The lyric is, "Talent is exclusive to bands without pay." Because then you've sold out, and that whole concept of like, now you're just doing it for the money, man. It used to be about the music, and now it's just this corporate bullshit, and everything is mass produced and the whole thing. And it's like, you know what? You know how amazing it is to be able to make a living with your music.
Yeah, man.
If you do, tell me, because I've not been able to do it yet.
Any
Yeah.
form, any form to make
So
money from it.
I don't have an issue with them collaboratively with doing something like that. I think Hunter's Moon is a great song. I think
Right.
it's catchy. Probably something off of Prequel would be my favorite song.
Pinnacle to the Pit's my favorite.
So that's a really good one too. So I don't know. They're catchy. They're heavy, but they're all like, they have this lore about them. Their lead singer dresses up like a dead corpse makeup pope, and for every record that pope dies or has been retired and a new one steps into place, it's all the same dude wearing different makeup, different costumes. All the rest of the players in the band, first it was monk robes with cowls so you couldn't see who was playing, or they call themselves the nameless ghouls. And then with each iteration they all sort of change, and it's like, it started off as like Blue Oyster Cult stuff almost. I mean,
like almost 80s rock feeling
80s
a little
rock,
bit.
super satanic, but like over the top. Like, you know how Christian music is all about Jesus and God and doing this. It's like all about Satan and the devil and the whole thing, but it's so over the top, and that
You ever
know
seen?
it's
You ever heard
parody.
from Temple?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was an interesting show to see.
So yeah, I don't know. Ghost put out Skeleta recently. I think they've got some good stuff off of there. If we're talking metal, Cradle of Filth just put out a new record. They're kind of a guilty pleasure of mine.
Cradle of Filth.
Because they are amazing musicians. Danny Filth is one of the most incredible lyricists I've ever heard, because he writes poetry the way Lord Byron wrote poetry. And they have a song about Lord Byron. He is very 19th century. He reads all of the classics. His stuff is amazing. And then he goes and ruins it with his voice and does this like, and once your ears get attuned to it, it fits the character perfectly.
What are your thoughts of King Diamond then?
I think they're great. I think they were over the top theatrical.
The same thing too?
Fantastic, same thing too. Like
Cool.
it's,
As you can see, what my taste is at.
so long as you, as an artist, believe in what you're doing,
Right.
and you're going with it with all your heart, that's fucking great.
I'm
for
a
me.
sucker for the customized like mic stands.
Yeah.
Just walk around.
Porn.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's fine. We'll do that. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. It's neat. So they just put out a new record called "The Screaming of the Valkyries," and there was a track on there, "Non omnis moriar," not all of me will die, and that shit brought me to tears. I mean, legitimately, it's a guy saying goodbye to his lover as he's dying, and here's the level that he goes to. "Non omnis moriar" is a line in Latin taken from Horace, and Horace, the Roman poet, But his poem is all about how kick-ass he is. It's like a dick-swinging poem about like, my verse is so strong, not all of me shall die. My words will live on, and generations later, you're going to be talking about me, which is funny because we are right now.
Yeah.
It's like incredible.
Right.
But like the music and the atmosphere that was built for that particular song, every track is like that. Everyone's a banger. You got to like Cradle of Filth, or it's a little difficult to get into.
Yeah, right on.
Right.
But, damn, man, that track just got me deep.
Art that brings
And that's
emotion.
why AI won't be able to take over.
Exactly.
As far as music.
Damn straight, dude.
Yeah, we had Jesus and Mario in here last time. They're both graffiti artists, tattoo artists,
Right.
multimedia artists, all that things. There was a point when Mario started crying, talking about art and whatnot. And it's like, that's what art. I mean, it should move you emotionally, in some way,
Right.
shape, or form. I think. Good art. Not
Oh,
that
yeah.
Bed Bath and Beyond stuff, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah, whatever you consider to be art, it should move you.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically, music.
Oh, yeah.
I think so. And you guys work hard at it
Oh,
and
yeah.
have for some time.
It's the reason why when I do my songs, I get me that place. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a little break for a few bits because I'm going to be shut out from the world for a few days.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's it. And, I mean, for me, I make art because I have to, because I am compelled to do so. And that's, as pretentious as that sounds, you have to be an artist, whatever your medium is, there has to be a certain level of arrogance, and I mean this in a good way, to be able to say, no, I've got something to say and to share with everybody. I mean, art is you communicating your human experience through your given medium.
Agreed.
And there has to be a certain amount of arrogance to be able to say, I deserve to have you stop and listen and pay attention to this. And with that comes the flip side of the coin of being like, oh my God, this isn't good enough. I'm not. What the hell am I even doing here?
Yeah.
Everyone's done this before. There's nothing new. I can't contribute anymore. What the hell am I doing? And it's that push and pull between the two. I know a lot of artists who don't like their own work, and that's fucking tragic for me. I like my work. I do listen to some of my stuff. I do
I'm one
look at my
ladder.
own stuff. You don't like your own stuff?
I will not listen to it, specifically for the ones that, because when I look at mine and how I write mine, I literally am a person that kind of listens to it and puts myself back in a situation, kind of almost like a muscle memory type thing.
Yeah, of course.
Kind of like not an over exaggerated version of how for Jonathan Davis for Daddy stuff like that. He doesn't perform that because it literally I don't know if you've seen the actual breakdown of that song, but he was crying in the booth and they literally had to he did nothing but sit there and sulk.
Yeah.
And never got that exaggeration, but parents passing away, stuff you can't physically have in your tangible means anymore. All you gotta do is actually sit and absolve it and understand it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take a little break from this for a little bit.
That's called method acting.
Yeah.
That is the Stanislavski method of emotional recall. Of if you're going to play a character that has to cry, you would put yourself into the last time or a powerful situation where you were crying and compelled to do so.
That's just so hard too.
It's hard as fuck to do, man.
Yeah, because
yes.
there was a studio in Portland, Videos the Future. That's where I went through a whole course for it. It was a hybrid course for it. Oh my God, that shit was horrible. You have to tap into it's something simple as easy as essentially cooking food. We had an empty pot and we're at to do dialogue, me and you, and I have to get a message across while I'm doing this, but this doesn't matter. I have to literally just figuratively talk it. It's kind of like you're watching 2.5 Men with Charlie Sheen. He's being comedy, but he's doing something different, and he has to get the thing across. And he's okay, well, do that, but then you have to call your parents died. I'm like, freak accident? And he's like, just do it. So I had to tap immediately, start bawling. But the thing is that you're not supposed to actually show that you're crying because the audience no one wants to see you cry. You have to hold it back, and that's what gets the emotional reaction, is you trying to hold back your emotions. And that's why when you see a lot of films, a lot of folks just mostly hold their tears in. They just keep on holding it. Because if you see someone crying, you're like, but it's them holding that back, not to push it.
Unless you have brought them along to that point to where they're with you, and then there is that cathartic moment to be able to do that. Yeah.
So yeah, method acting is rough, man, especially if done incorrectly. If you don't actually do it to where the process of learning how to get out of it, because a lot of folks get stuck in that dark place and they don't get out for a while.
Heath Ledger. I absolutely believe the Joker took him on that, to exist in that headspace
Yeah.
and create that character and then be that person day in and day out.
Especially the mentality of the Joker character for that movie is like nothing really matters. It's just a big plan. It's
just a nihilist.
Yeah.
I don't know. Pretty nuts. But so that's interesting. So you don't like your own work, or you don't listen to your own work?
I don't listen to it specifically. That's kind of the fun part.
Once
This
it's
one.
out there, it's out there.
Which is why I use the character, the Lyrizone, for the conduit of the emotional depth of like figuring out what message I want to go, what understanding of what's going on. Like for 23 Knives, like Betrayal, I literally had to go through the 48 Laws of Power and read that book to literally break the character down. Of okay, so how do you get close to someone before you flip the switch, and then you start going through your whole life of okay, well, how fuck did this happen? That happened, then this happened, and then you find a way to put it all to one. And I like putting pieces of myself into my songs, but just enough so I can pull myself out if need be. Because there hasn't been that song yet, which will be eventually, where I have to give 110%.
Do you perform live?
Yes.
You do. I gotta come see a show, dude. I gotta come check you out.
What's the thing though is that this goes back to the history of the actual artist. Doing hip hop for a while, that was my bread and butter.
Okay.
And then recently doing the rock side again. And for the longest time I had the backing bands, and then I currently have one now because I had so much going for a while, different people that I had involved, and it goes back to too many cooks in the kitchen.
Right.
To where they don't have the same vision. I hate to compare this, but this is my baby. Yeah. This is where I want him to go. I can't have someone's ego overstep the actual project.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, that's where it has to be. Where frontman, that's where my vocals has been at. Like even instrumental wise, I tell folks like I could, but I don't want to because that is where I need to be. And I don't want to spread myself too thin and take that away. And that's kind of where the art needs to be for me. Is that the vocals, the performance, theatrics, if you would. Like even choreography, stuff of that nature. That is where it needs to be. So live shows, yes, but believe it or not, I've been telling Josh, my producer, for a while. It's like either you do get drums or guitar, or we literally just do dynamics where I like get the smoke machines, I get I get everything I need. I even have like custom tarot cards, so I can bring to the shows, and just toss it to the crowd. But stuff like that. But my goal, and it's even when I started performing to current, is that I want to make an experience. I've had shows to where I did the bare minimum and it passed. I realized it's much more than that. So that's kind of where I've been.
That's great.
And until I hit that point, I would rather, I know it's going to sound very, very like almost like nihilist, but I would rather have, or egocentric, or even want to phrase it, I would rather have the vision of where I want it than never do it at all.
Yeah.
And
that's called artistic integrity.
Right. Well, most folks buckle really easy, and they're like, "Oh, well, it's fine, passable." I'm like, "Yeah, there's putting things out, and then there's doing a performance to where I don't do this justice, and then I'm gonna sit on it." And yeah, that's where it's at.
Don't stop.
Yeah.
You know, and there's an interesting line there between, you know, when you how often do you perform?
I haven't done since I've been out here in a while.
Rarely.
Last performance I had out here was actually at the Low Bar in Portland.
Okay. It
was like a little, I guess you want to call it open mic, if you would.
Yeah.
And that was a transition for horrorcore hip hop, which was very interesting transition to, and I think the reason why I started that actual genre itself is I love the theatrics of it. I don't want to be like just a slash and gasher. I was literally doing Foley in the studio, figuring out like sound effects. We went outside, got an old concrete slab, started dragging it across the floor, hooking the SM7Bs to the ground,
that's cool.
like stuff of that nature. But I love the theatrics of it. And I think regardless of what genre, it goes back to your main question of asking like what makes the genre NuMetal for me. I want to apply theatrics of wherever I go. And a like really, really cool feelings to make you feel almost like cinematic, if you would, to where you close your eyes and think of the actual thing being a movie.
That's cool.
And that's kind of where I've been for the longest time, which is kind of the biggest thing because then it goes to budget and who you want to bring in.
I know,
and hire guns and stuff of that nature.
100%. And so in doing, there's riding the line between having that level of production, if you will, of being able to do that, and then doing the repetition of having shows. And sometimes when you're out, you know, if you're out on tour, for me, if I'm out on tour, I know specifically from the magic side. I mean, I've got easily over 1,500 shows that I've done in my life. That not every show is going to be great. Not every show is going to be perfect. And sometimes coming back to that failure thing, like having one of them fail, not because I called it in, but because
Things
things happen and whatnot. That was super helpful for me to wake up the next morning and then be like, oh, the world didn't end.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
That's okay. But yeah, it's a line to ride. I'm doing this with Magoosh right now of trying to figure out how do I hit where I'm happy with this and I'm good to have my name on it, versus, well, here's the budget I have to work with. And here's what's going on. So
Exactly.
no, super interesting. I'd love to see you perform sometime.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, keep me in the
man.
loop as to whenever the next one happens to
Oh,
be.
of course. Because that's my main goal is just to, like, I think we're 2 more songs away from actually having a complete project with this to
Sweet.
just actually do it. Because I always want to separate from the hip hop for a little bit because this is where it needs to be.
Cool.
And just separation of all the branding. So, yeah, I'll let you know.
Hell yeah, dude.
Beautiful. Excellent, guys. You want to tell people what you're doing right now? I mean, you're in the studio chopping it up.
So yeah, I'm working on the latest single for Lyrizone. We have the Segalia album. Essentially, it's the time period album I was talking about earlier. We're on Make You Mine, currently doing pre-production because we've done production before and realized the song wasn't where it needed to be. Go figure. So we had to redo it again, start from scratch.
Been there. Yep.
So we did a photo shoot for it. I have a YouTube 4K resolution. I think 4K is not the new thing. Wait till 10K comes out, we can see everything in your freaking face. It'd be
Yep.
ridiculous. Already starting now.
Anything above 4K is useless. You know?
Cut to the black
It's
head
like
cam.
going on BPM. Was it 999 or 97 beats per minute? Like 99.76. I was like, bro, just whatever. Just shut up. Like, I had someone ask for that BPM. Like, it was for like 97.9931. I'm like, bro, shut the fuck up, bro. It's not. Doesn't really matter.
like-
no one sonically hears that.
It's like I played with a band that like all our instruments are tuned to A equals 444. It's like, why? Like
A doesn't equal 4. It's A440.
no, because 444, that's the secret, that's a sacred frequency. So it's like they made everybody like tune up just that much
Oh,
more. And
man.
it's like, why?
We don't use quarter tones in Western music, dude.
But yeah, as far as that, just check out Lyrizone.com. It's my hub for the website in case Spotify decides to piss me off more and I'll just sell music there the whole time, which I already do now, but
Yeah,
not as much. Yeah, I try to keep everything close to the hip. So yeah, check it out for there for all the updates. I think on my Instagram, I have my landing page. You can check all, when you click on that link, it's comey.io, Lyrizone, whatever. You see everything I'm working on. Join a mailing list if you want to see more of this and this conversation we have because we have a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, thanks for keeping me here. I guess we'll just shout out Barbie from CrossFit Designs, who's doing a new artwork for me. Guido from 5 milligrams. Thank you for killing the artwork so far. Your illustration, you're amazing. And thank you everyone for being here. So
Yeah.
that's all I got.
Love it.
Sasha, what you got going on, man?
Oh, still working Fair.vu.
Yeah.
Fair.vu, fairvu.io. Still fundraising and taking care of chatting with a bunch of musicians and trying to build our digital platform to have musicians have a place to be able to live stream their shows and monetize those tickets directly to their fan base, cutting out the middleman completely so that they're
I love that already.
making
'Cause
90% of what's being charged. So we're working on that. My fiance and I actually have started a business. We the company's called Silk and Shadows LLC, and we are working on trying to get a business loan. We want to open a wedding venue in Portland, actually.
Awesome.
Good cash.
Design forward. Gen Z is coming up and getting married, and they want everything to look amazing on social media, and that's how we're going to do that. So we're trying to figure out how to make all of that work currently. So that's where a lot of my energy is going to. United Defiance is playing. They just had a show last night without me in the Bay Area. Sometimes, because we do sort of a collective thing. They'll call me and let me know, hey, we have a show here. Are you available? If I am, I'll fly down and do the thing, and we'll play it as a 5-piece. Otherwise, our lead singer also plays guitar, in which case, if they're all available and I'm not, they'll go and take care of doing a 4-piece thing, which is cool. So we've got some new music coming out, which is exciting. 4 days ago, they sent me the final master for a new single that's coming out soon. So that's going to be delightful. And yeah, working on Magoosh. Season 2 is coming soon, I promise, probably by the end of the year. The goal is before Christmas. That's what I want to do.
Send me a link to it, 'cause I'm really curious.
We'll do. It's going to be this season 2 is going to be 5 episodes. Each one's about 15 minutes long.
Okay.
Easy listening.
Good.
Dumb intro, even dumber outro of me and Magoosh talking back and forth. I'm doing the credits. So this was written by this, and here's who did the music, and so on and so forth. And he's interrupting me and doing his sort of character thing, and it's me talking to myself in my room. which is cool. But yeah, I've had a lot of season 3 is written, season 4 is almost written. I'm 15 pages from the end of it, and I'm super excited
awesome.
about that. And I've got storyboards for 5, 6, and 7. So I'm deep into this world, and it's fun as hell, and I'm having a good time.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
You're
so-
looking for an artist, yes, to do.
Still looking for a consistent artist. I work,
Illustrationist, or are you looking for?
yeah, and any or I'm open, 100%. If you've got a recommendation, shoot me a thing.
And
That'll
I'm
be
listening. I know there's some artist types out there that do that kind of work. You know how to get each other.
yeah.
If not, hit me up. We'll connect. We make connections too.
My plan, the trajectory on this for Magoosh is I would love to get 3 seasons under my belt, done, put together, produced, and released. And then I would like to take these and say, hey, here's what I've done, and I'd like to pitch it for animation. Because I think this would be a fantastic world to create in animation, because it's so over the top. It's horrifically violent, but in that Monty Python Black Knight sort of a way that's just over the top and is ridiculous. So
Yeah,
it's
definitely listen to it, Joe. It's fucking.
I'll check it out.
so yeah,
You know
thanks for
my
having me.
wavelength, you know it.
It's a great way to put it. Monty Python X.
He's a vampire hunter that doesn't have any actual skills, and everything goes wrong, but in perfectly the correct sequence, so that when he opens his eyes, everyone else is dead except for him. He gets super lucky, and he's arrogant and over the top and braggadocious,
dang.
with a horrific German accent.
Beautiful.
I love the synopsis out of it.
Yep.
So yeah, but thanks for having me. This has
Yeah.
been amazing.
Great talk. I mean, Joe reached out, wanted to do it. Glad we could facilitate it.
Well, yeah.
You guys are probably going to talk more than this.
Damn straight.
Oh, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
Yeah, glad we can get the conversation started, and it will continue. Thanks, guys.
Thanks
Yes,
for
sir.
having us.
Cheers.
Yeah.
You like Christopher Nolan too?
I do like Christopher Nolan.
He's the Batman guy, right?
He's the Batman guy. He's the guy who did Prestige.
See, that's what I keep saying. He doesn't know what that is.
So
What is it called? Prestige?
The Prestige, yeah. So this was a novel that he turned into a movie, and it's about 2 rival magicians in the golden age, around about the turn of the last century. And it's the 2 of them battling each other back and forth in the media, and one is stealing to send spies and to become assistants, and the other one to steal secrets, and then the girl becomes a double agent, and it's back and forth, and it's all done sort of with journals, and it comes back to this one magician has an effect that the other one cannot figure out how to do it, what it is, what's the whole thing. And Tesla gets in on it, and it's this incredible.
And it's David Bowie.
Tesla is David Bowie in the movie.
So good.
But it's it was phenomenally well done. What I love about Christopher Nolan is that he is not huge on using CGI. That Batman Begins, that whole thing, and he was in battles for months with the studios over actually doing the Batmobile jumping from the rooftops and the whole thing. They did that for real, using practical special effects and launching, getting the car onto a catapult and then action, boom, and then launching the thing, doing it. He's like, this just looks better. It doesn't look fake.
Right.
And like Tenet, which a lot of people just didn't understand, it's a crazy movie, but he just drove a plane into an airport. He's like, that's how that's gonna look, and I want it to look like that.
Yeah.
There's no other way to do that.
All right, we had some movies. Mosh, Life of Chuck, The Prestige.
Yeah, The Prestige is fantastic.
Right on. I've been searching for movies, and I already got 3 I can check out. It's good.